It also doesn't seem to think they think anyone else is involved, at least at this time. But of course, the things that jump out as motivations, you're looking at, hate crime, terrorism. You have to look at what's going on in Iran. Does this somehow, trigger this? Or somehow...
You check the clock. The time is up. The takeover has begun. CWE Uprising! Feel the heat in the air. The whistle blows the start. You better say a prayer. I'm the king of the campus. I don't know how to lose. Excuses ignite on the path that you choose. Indicate on the hinges. Feel what's on the cage. With the others of the fire on the very first page. No more waiting in the back. No more place with a giant running through the mass. Breaking through the ceiling. Can you feel the power within? It is often, all right, let's see here. Judaism, Islam, anti-Semitism, something like that. But when it is not, it is intersectarian, Muslim, Sunni, Shia. You brought up, Jonathan brought
see
up,
if anybody
Iran.
sees the
Iran is a Shia
video.
nation. Here we have a Sunni mosque. I don't know, James, off the top of my head, and this is where I turn to you now. Do we have a history of that sectarian terrorism or violence here in the United States? We certainly went all across the globe, certainly the Middle East. Do we have that kind of sectarian conflict here in the United States?
We don't, Will, but however, there's a new paradigm right now with terrorism, and you correctly point this out, and Paul Mara talked about it in the last hour. Iran is 90–95% Shia. This was a Sunni mosque, and I think it's the largest mosque,
I haven't seen the video, they just seen
Islamic
my
center in San Diego.
Okay.
Very reminiscent of what happened to the synagogue, a couple of months ago in West Bloomfield, Michigan. So these type of attacks are becoming a lot more common, and we do need to pump the brakes and pause here and say, what also could be the motivation? Right. Motivations could be it could be domestic violence. It could be a love triangle. It could be a whole host of things. But the fact that it was targeted at a mosque where you have pre-K to third graders, it's chilling.
And I'll reiterate, I think all three of us have done so. We do not yet know this motivation. That's simply a factual background that I found interesting when you put it into a larger context of what you see across the globe. Jonathan, to a conversation that you and I have had in the past, and I don't think it's completely out of bounds already when it comes to this potential news item. We have today the arrest of a man in New York who was plotting terror attacks against Jewish synagogues and Jewish Americans in LA, in New York, and across the country, and in fact across the globe. The first question Jonathan was, what is he doing in the United States? What is his citizenship status? Is he a permanent resident? Is he an illegal alien? And now we're going to see this story, and that's one of the first things I want to know. I want to know, is this an American? Is it a radicalized American? It could be a domestic issue to your point. Is it naturalized citizen? I would want to know about the immigration status.
Yeah, that's such a good point, and we've talked about it before because you have the legal and illegal immigration, which is always the divide.
Oh, enemy too.
So much of our legal immigration has been done in a way that's really not taken the interest of the American public and their safety over the last probably 20 or 30 years, and it's really shameful. And remember,
just a day, just playing the game.
Found that the Biden administration let in 99 people that were on the terrorist watch list that they caught and let in the country, and that's not to mention all the gotaways. So that's always a question that's worthy of going back to, and once we find out who it is, that may be a question we ask, as well as, is it a Sunni Shia rift, or is there something else? But this is certainly something that's always in the backdrop these days.
I will find out.
Come on, bitch.
A lot of questions will be subsequent to, depending upon finding out the motivation here.
Let's dance.
To this shooting. James, when you see this very quickly, we are getting word that the threat at the Islamic Center has been neutralized. Okay, neutralized. A moment ago we heard active but contained. I hear neutralized, James, and I can speak from the world of assumption. You speak from the world of fact. That sounds like the shooter has been taken down.
Ownage. Let's see if there's anything over here.
Are there any IEDs present? Any kind of hazmat
nope, there's nothing over here.
concerned about? And then, Will, it's about preserving the crime scene, making sure that we can collect evidence. And most importantly, Will, whatever the motivations are here, is there a conspiracy
This
and is there
academy
anybody
is
else that needs to be taken
pointless.
down outside of
Fall
where this
before
location
our
was?
might.
Yeah.
We need
all right.
no
I
magic.
watched you
James
deal with
Gagliano,
those traitors.
Jonathan
Well
Fahey,
done. That was
thank
an
you both for
impressive
being with
display
us
of
here as
will.
this news breaks. We'll
Take
continue
this
to get
reward as a
information
token
and
of the
move, I
Emperor's
think,
favor.
I hope,
And
important
wear
to many
this
of the questions we
badge.
began to
It
wonder
marks you
about
as a
here quickly.
defender
The
of
important
our
note at this
empire.
moment is it does
Stay
look like,
vigilant.
and there's a lot of
Our
indications
enemies
on this
lurk where you
content,
least
those school
expect
children
them.
we saw being evacuated have arrived in safety. The threat at this point has been neutralized. Thank you both, Jonathan, James.
Thank you.
All right, let's move now to our other alert, about 3 hours north of San Diego. The fast-moving named Sandy Fire. It's forcing evacuation to the Simi Valley area. More than 200 firefighters are on the scene. So joining me now is Ventura County Fire Department,
Fall
PIO,
before
Andrew
our might.
Dow. Thank you so much for being with me
need no
today, Andrew.
masters.
All right, you see the video on our screen, and we've seen some video from a little bit earlier today where it looked like some homeowners, some residents in various neighborhoods there in Simi Valley were running from their homes. It looked like an organized evacuation. What's the latest?
So great questions. So currently the fire is at a plot of 500 acres. We have at least 200 firefighters actively engaged in this fire
Let's
from
see
the air
here.
and from the ground. So we have fixed-wing aircraft making retardant drops on the fire's edge and ahead of the fire to help slow the spread. We have numerous water-dropping helicopters dropping water directly onto hotspots of the fire and coordinating with our firefighters that are on the ground. Those firefighters are providing aggressive, structured defense operations to help protect lives and protect property. So an incredibly well-coordinated effort, firefighting effort going on right now.
Okay, and Andrew, first, let me ask you this. We're talking to you. Can I assume, is it correct for me to assume Ventura County is taking the lead on this with some participation perhaps by the state of California?
Let's go
Great
to
question.
do
Yes,
that mission
Ventura
right
County
here.
is we are at the incident command post. We are in the command
Let's
instance.
take this
But in
trick.
Southern California, we have a very robust mutual aid system
There.
that's going throughout the state. And that mutual aid system means that we have partner agencies at LA County Fire, LA City Fire, Cal Fire, here very rapidly.
Right.
We place orders through a central point south offset. All of our orders have been met. So we have firefighters from around the area that have arrived here to help support this firefighting effort. And that's part of the robustness of the partnerships that we have.
Andrew, I think I have to ask this question after what we saw with the Palisades. I lived in Southern California. I went to Pepperdine University in Malibu. I spent a lot of time in Ventura. One of my best friends was Simi Valley. So I have a little bit of background. Water. Do you have access to water? Now, I know that also can mean the Pacific Ocean, and some of these helicopters can pick up water from the Pacific Ocean. But water is still always an issue, as it was, by the way, accessibility in the Palisades. Do you have water?
Absolutely. We have all of the resources that we need right now. So a few things that we do first to water supply. For water-dropping helicopters, our lake is right nearby this fair. So their reflex time, the time it takes those helicopters to get to the lake, pick up water, and go to the fire line is very short. We identify those water pickup
Just checking my
locations
email.
and prior to any fire happening. So when a fire occurs, we already have a plan. Second, we bring out water tankers that carry thousands of gallons of water on them and deploy them strategically throughout the fire. Every one of the fire engines that is here has hundreds of gallons of water in it. And so our firefighters, all of their
Okay,
needs are
now
being
let's
met right
go
now.
and
Like
do
you're
that
seeing.
mission
Sorry,
for
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Andrew. We're seeing video as you speak. We see helicopters
that
dropping
person.
water on the fire as you were describing it. We see exactly what you're suggesting.
Come
But what
on.
we're also seeing, Andrew, is
Bring
we're
it
beginning to see some
down.
images of some houses that have now burned. Do you have any assessments so far of the damages?
It's a great question. We want to make sure that
There
we
you go.
adequately and correctly identify any structures that have been damaged and destroyed by this fire.
You're gonna go down?
Out there making those assessments right now. I don't have an update as to any number of them, but obviously the cameras from the hill, we're seeing what's out there. We're seeing it. You know, I just have to say, you have family connections here. We live and work in this community.
A fresh
So our
young
firefighters
acolyte
live
who
in
come to
Simi
view
Valley.
my
And
experiments.
these
Good.
types of incidents,
I
they don't
trust
just
the sight
impact
of
us
the
as a
messy
department,
operating
they
table
impact us
doesn't
as
disturb you.
residents of this community. So it is hard for us to see. and
path to power
we
is
care
not for the
so
faint-hearted.
greatly about providing aggressive
You remind me
firefighting,
of
about
myself.
providing structured defense.
This
When
used to be
fires
a
impact the
toccata
community,
for hound-like
it impacts
creatures
us too.
infesting
I know
corridors.
that's true, Andrew, and I know, again,
On the
I spent
surface,
more
nothing
time in Simi
special.
Valley than I ever thought that I would in
I
my life,
alone
and I
can
know it's a
see
community
this
full of
creature
firefighters
as an
and policemen.
expression of pure
That's exactly
dark-side
what
energy.
Simi Valley is. It's a
Aggression
blue-collar,
made
middle-class
manifest.
town where a lot of the city services workers from fire, police live. Again, one more time, we're seeing images,
Amazing.
and I'm
How did you learn
pointing
that?
directly to our viewers at the top of the
Force
screen,
taught me so.
where you can get an aerial view
Speaks
of
to
the extent. So you can see active
Force
fires
is
burning
alive.
right now.
Expresses its will in the
There was a
physical.
wide shot
This
a moment ago.
toccata
We
was
saw
one such form.
the extent of the burn scar and how close it came to neighborhoods. Any thing you can
another
share
of
with
these
us, Andrew,
forms?
on how
Sith are
much
the
of Simi
highest
Valley
manifestation of the
has at
Force's
this
will.
point needed to be
I've dissected
evacuated, or
hundreds
who
of
may need to soon
toccata, forging
evacuate?
a direct connection to the dark
I
side.
know that
Each
there are
beast I examine advances
evacuation
me
orders that
toward
are in
perfect
place.
unity.
But as you know, as
I
somebody
now
who spent
stand at a
time
new
here,
frontier
this is a
and find
community
myself
that prepares
thwarted. My
well.
most perfect specimen, a
So we have
toccata mutant,
residents that
escaped to
protect
the
their
tombs
structures in
before I could
advance
analyze
by
it.
providing
Your work
clearing
is
out
too
brush within
important to
100
fail,
feet
my
and
lord.
fire and other
Indeed.
regulations. We have a very robust
Perhaps
community
the Force has
connection
brought
there,
you
so
to me
residents
for a
are
reason.
ready to go and ready
You
to
acolytes
evacuate.
delve those
Those
tombs on your
programs
trails.
that take place
You could
before
hunt
the
that
fire
toccata for
are
me
such
and
an
retrieve its
important part
perfect
of
brand.
wildfire
My
resilience
apprentice,
and
Melora, saw
wildfire
which tomb the
preparation.
mutant beast fled
Making
into.
those
Find out what she
connections to your
knows,
home,
assist
regardless
me,
of what community you live in,
and you will be rewarded.
allows firefighters to get in and adequately provide structured defense.
I'll speak with
So
Melora
when
and do whatever is necessary, my lord.
You found a great calling in my service. I trust you appreciate that.
Still some of the flames there in the hills above Simi Valley. It's a complete editorialization. Sure. Go ahead.
Seeking Lord Renning's
To
lost
mention
pet, are
how
you?
well coordinated those
Don't waste your
efforts
time.
are between
That
the
fool's
air
research is
resources and
pointless.
the ground resources. So
Not
our
a very
incident
loyal
commanders
apprentice,
are
are you?
constantly in
He's my
contact with
master
the
in
various
title only.
geographical divisions
He
and
has nothing to
operational
teach
and
anyone
functional
about the dark
teams
side of
fire.
the Force.
So every one
Renning
of those
deludes the
retardant
Dark
drops is
Council into
coordinated
believing
with
he's
our ground
advancing
resources.
Sith
They're
knowledge.
constantly
The
monitoring
truth
the
is,
situation
he
to
wastes the
figure out where
Empire's
the fire
time and
is,
resources
anticipating where
dissecting
it could
mindless
go, and
animals.
providing the
But
right
if his
resources
experiments
here
were
to fight this
discredited,
fire.
he
This
would
is a
be
tremendous
banished,
effort, and I
and
think it
I
just
would be
highlights the
rewarded.
experience, the professionalism, the training, and the dedication of both our firefighters and those from other
How
agencies
exactly
and
is telling
companies
me
to help
you're
our
supposed to
community
help?
and our community.
Look,
Well,
just a minor
these
operation
things
to
can go on
allergic
quite
to
some
Cut's
time.
brain.
Fires are
Allow me to
stubborn,
reveal my
unpredictable.
master's
You never know which way
plan.
the wind's going to push them or
Bring me
what
the brain
spark may
before delivering
arise.
it to Lord Renning.
But I can tell you,
And I'll
as an
make it work.
editorialization, hearing the kind of competence we're hearing right now from Ventura County is inspiring. Let's hope the
Betraying
next 2
your
days
master
prove it out.
carries considerable
But we'd like to
risk.
see more
The
of that. I
greater
don't
the
think you always
risk,
have
the
in Southern
greater the
California.
reward.
Again, that's an editorialization.
For both of
But we
us.
appreciate that kind of
The
competence and
reason to
information
Cut
coming
escaped
from you
the
today,
tomb of
Andrew Dow.
Markov
Thank you.
Magnus.
Thank
It's
you so
much
much for your
larger than
time.
the others, so it's
All right.
easy to spot.
All right, 2 gigantic stories we're going to keep you
Return
updated
to
on
me
throughout
with the
that. We have a
brain
lot
before
more
you
we
see
want to
Lord
get to
Renning.
today, including some
And I'll take
disgusting
care of the rest.
video that I think it's important for you to see. And I'm trying to get this video as we speak. But whether or not we get this video, I'm going to share with you the words of a sickness that is spread throughout America. It's all around the case of Luigi Mangione. Yes, there was a judge today with a key ruling on evidence. But what was more important was the reaction outside the courthouse. We want you to hear it. And if not, I'll share and read it to you. The sickness in America.
Sound that. Here my gear. Awesome. Take out these guys. Get more money out of it.
This deer season, visit johndeere.com/deer season and enter
Yep,
for a chance to
more
win
money.
an MLB All-Star experience.
Oh, there's a mission. Where's the mission? Where's the mission?
Your body's giving you signs. It's time to try a line. A line probiotic is specifically designed by gastroenterologists to help relieve your occasional bloating and gas. When you feel the signs, it's time to try a line.
Travelers swear by this one trick. What's up with Mom?
She's been scrolling travel advice for hours. Now she's got influencer brain.
That's my
Oh,
big
here it
point,
is.
Mom. Gotta use kayak. They compare hundreds of sides, so you always get your turn right.
Got that right.
Bubba's back, Pam.
Some of the sentries we lost down here aren't dead. They lost their minds, just like the acolytes. Doesn't mean we're going to have any easier a time getting the research supplies back there. The sectors are clear with multi-logs.
For free.
If we're going to open these things without frying the content,
Members get more.
we need to get all the sentries' code cylinders back. I don't think
No pain,
negotiations are
no
an option.
gain,
The
no
men aren't keen to
thanks.
take down the Red
It's
Comrades.
back out.
We'll do what we
It's
can.
treating it. When
Once
there's
we
no
have the code
pain,
cylinders, we'll
there's
crack open the supply crates and
Advil
get back.
Lipigel's target
Take one
group
out.
caused by inflammation, fast, strong relief. Advil. That's real strength.
Where in regular shoes feels this cramp. A Glide Step wide fit, hands-free Skechers slip-ins feel like this. With Skechers slip-ins, just step in, no bending down, no touching my shoes. Try wide fit Skechers slip-ins.
The place you call home is important to you, so it's important to Allstate. Home is where you make all your best memories. Backyard campouts, early morning coffees. Oh, left. Well, it's your yard now. Because it's not just the home we protect, it's all the memories you make there. Nice work, you two. Come on, buddy. If it's important to you, it's important to us. You're in good hands with Allstate.
This May, Renewal by Anderson wants to give you a huge win. You can have our award-winning windows and doors right now, and you don't have to pay us a dime for 2 years. Save it, spend it, go buy a pony, whatever you want to do. And choosing Renewal by Anderson to replace your windows and doors makes your home worth more. 3 out of 4 real estate agents surveyed agree. Anderson products increase a home's value by at least 10%. And wait until you see our exclusive ensemble entry door system. To nuts with the nation's best warranty, and you don't pay us a dime until May of 2028. Call 1-800-932-9292.
Lily doesn't play like she's 62. She plays like you owe her something. And with Insuramax Protein, she always collects. You're in your prime, so keep it going. Insure yourself.
Johnny takes you out to the ball game.
Has it been a home run? No. See who strikes out on Jesse Waters prime time.
Anyway, safe drivers take money to stop on, since they're not stuck paying for bad drivers' mistakes. Hang on, I love this part. Have you seen the dancing parakeet? Well, I'll send it to him. Janice, green light, let's go. Janice, coach yourself, honey. And the light's red.
Home services from the Home Depot. Local licensed experts on call for upgrades, installations, and home maintenance. When something breaks, or you just need an extra hand, we're here to help. Backed by the name you know and trust in Home Improvement. And with flexible financing from the Home Depot, taking care of your home has never been easier. Home services from the Home Depot. Let us do it for you.
I've been banking with Kennebec Savings since I was 18. I love that I can go in person and see the people that I know, but if I'm on the go, I can transfer, I can pay bills real quick, I can deposit a check and check my balance. I love Kennebec Savings.
Graham Flatner blames Maine's women for getting raped because he says they get.
You check the clock, the time is up, the takeover has begun. CWE, uprising.
I gotta pick
and so is the cannabis conversation.
Hold on.
You check the clock, the time is up, the takeover has begun. CWE, uprising. Feel the heat in the air.
In particular, a trio of bloodthirsty women, big fans of Luigi Mangione, and somehow granted press passes by City Hall. Here they are camped out outside the courthouse. Now, why? The backdrop for their appearance? Today was an evidence suppression hearing for the accused United Healthcare CEO, Killer, during which the judge handed prosecutors a pretty big victory in granting Luigi Mangione's bid to suppress some of the evidence at his murder trial. Here's what the judge had to say. The evidence found during the search of the backpack at McDonald's must be suppressed. That included the magazine, cell phone, passport, wallet, and computer chip. But all the evidence gathered at the police station is still admissible, and that includes the 3D printed gun, the silencer, importantly, the red notebook, the quote-unquote manifesto. All that's still on the table. But let's get back to the sickness, the ugliness outside the courtroom, because it's profane, it's vulgar, it's actually something too hard for us to imagine. Walking around as normal citizens in America, interacting with our fellow citizens, thinking exists this kind of sickness. Those three, the aforementioned ladies, the fans of Luigi Mangione. You have Ashley Rojas, for one, who had this message outside the hearing. I wish I could play through the video because the tone, the confidence, the certainty, the flippancy of these women's comments is just as important as the actual words. But let those words linger on the screen before I read them to you. Ashley Rojas said, F. Brian Thompson. She, of course, didn't censor herself. She said, that's all I want to say. I stand on business. F. Brian Thompson. F his mom. Another, perhaps the most obnoxious, and now I've set the bar pretty high, but the most obnoxious, named Lena Weisbrot, had this to say. His children are better off without him. They need to learn not to be like their dad. And by the way, enjoy the blood money, kids. He's responsible for more deaths than Osama bin Laden. And I remember Americans celebrating when Osama bin Laden was killed. It's not like we don't understand heroic violence or like when violence is good. If I had this video, I would want to play all 90 seconds uninterrupted. And I know that some of you would have said, well, why play that? That's gross. I don't want to see that. I don't want to hear that. But I think you should. I think you should read those words on the screen. I think you should know that this walks amongst you. This dresses in colorful hair. Black and white, green and white, green and black, purple and black stripes. Fancy. This is dressed like a 40s flapper girl. This is dressed like people who think that they're cool. Walk around thinking they're normal. And walking around thinking you're the one who's insane. They have sanctioned murder. The bloodthirsty, they asked for it, they sanctioned it, they glorified murder. And this is where we are. The only real question, I think, for you, and the only real question for me, is to say, what do we do with fellow citizens who have gotten to this place in their life? And if that's not enough for you, I've got this. How about wild teen take? On the restaurant, they started throwing punches and then furniture. Most of them were wearing masks, all wearing black outfits. You might even be able to see in the corner of this video here a father shielding his young daughter just got in for a burrito, and this is what they're met with. Onlookers could be heard screaming in the background while the violence ramped up. That little girl I just mentioned is cowering on the side. You can see almost there in her father's arms. U.S. Attorney for D.C., Janine Pirro, says this obviously is criminal behavior.
These are not kids being kids. This is criminal conduct. But for those kids, those teens who insist on participating in these mobs, understand something. A social media click is not worth a criminal record. And we will make sure that you have a criminal record. And if you think that being a teen gives you a pass to terrorize businesses and neighborhoods, you're about to find out otherwise.
Unsurprisingly, the incident caused quite a stir online. This comment from Democrat strategist Yemisi Elmolole caught my attention. She wrote on X. This is the part where people start getting uncomfortable. Maintaining peace in a civil society means people, yes, even teens, have to face serious charges and the threat of detention. And criminal behavior demands accountability. And this went on to say, this isn't about not having a rec center. It isn't about boredom. Is it about social media, or is it all the above? It's about a lack of accountability, and above all, a lack of parenting. That's where Hero comes in, doubling down on her message for mom and dad. Rein in your kids or spend time in jail.
Parents, you are not a bystander in this crisis. The taxpayers who are footing the bill by extra policing, cleaning up damaged property, suffering the effects of these illegal gatherings, whether it be noise or fights or robberies or chaos, are done. Starting now, parents, you're paying the bills. And if you know where your teen is and what your teen is doing, and you allow them to continue their conduct and continue to allow them to flourish, then we're going to prosecute you.
Puro also spelling out the penalties. It's $500 fine if your teen violates a curfew, and up to 6 months in prison if there are crimes involved. 6 months for a parent. The chaos isn't unique to D.C., though. This past weekend here in Texas, 3 teens were arrested for a string of random shootings across Austin that left 4 injured. National correspondent Brooke Taylor is here with more on that story.
Iowa investigators say that at least 20 people across the city, they called 911 about these shootings. They believe that the teens were using stolen guns and stolen cars to randomly open fire across Austin. So 2 of those suspects, just 15 and 17 years old right here. Police say that they spent hours driving around Austin in stolen cars, opening fire on apartment complexes, homes, and even 2 Austin Fire Department stations. Well, the chief says there were at least 12 different shootings. They appear to be completely random. So in one of those cases, a man was walking his dog and was shot in the back. Investigators say this violence is stretched from Saturday afternoon into Sunday morning and involved at least 4 stolen cars. That chaos, it triggered a shelter-in-place order for part of South Austin, where the suspects were on the run.
We had one poll cam that was up that actually captured one of the shootings in front of a store where 2 people were shot. A woman sitting there, standing there talking to someone, and they drive by and they shoot out their window and striking her. And so, a motive? I don't know what a motive is. I don't know what motive would drive anybody to come and drive around senselessly in the city and in multiple parts of the city shooting.
And in total, 4 people were shot. 1 is in critical condition. Police say that crime spree finally ended on Sunday afternoon when officers saw the suspects in a stolen car here. All 3 of them trying to make a run for it. The 2 they were looking for were captured. A 3rd suspect who managed to run away was later found and taken into custody. And Will police say the teens were taken to a juvenile detention center. We're still waiting to find out who they are, what their charges are. But Governor Abbott, he posted on X, he said, police did their job. Now it is time for the DA and the judge to do theirs and for the teens criminals behind bars.
All right, look, one last question for you. Any indication, any information you get on the legal status of these 2 teens?
I heard you say earlier in the show that one of the questions you have with the breaking news is whether the suspect is in the country illegally, and unfortunately that's a question we have to ask ourselves now when it comes to these stories. We have the same question with this one right here. Should these teens have been in the country to begin with? Heard rumblings that they could be here illegally, so I reached out to ICE, reached out to DHS, but because they are minors, there are some legal issues they're having, so behind the scenes, we're working to try and get that information.
All right, awesome stuff. Thanks, bro. Okay. All right, joining me now here in Dallas is criminal defense attorney Heather Barbieri. And also, by the way, with us remotely is Fox and Friends co-host Lawrence Jones. Thank you both for being with us here. Heather, thanks for being here. Let's start with this story out of DC with the Chipotle that's been totally destroyed. It's part of a larger trend. We've seen this, like these teen takeovers, chaos, mob, fighting, etc. Puro has a unique approach to this. She's going to parents. Now, is that doable? Can you charge parents for the crimes of their children?
It's not common, but it's doable. You can, but the burden that she's going to have is she's going to have to show that somehow they were knowingly involved in either assisting or financing it, and they had to have some type of knowledge. And that's the good news for her, that she can do it. Yeah, she can do it, and she can overcome that.
Looking for text messages, I'm going here, no, you can't go there, that kind of thing, including the parent. Not just was involved, but might have known and did nothing. There's got to be something that the parent did or neglected to do, I would assume, that allowed this to occur as a crime.
Right. And so she needs to get that subpoena going.
Okay. Lawrence, I knew the minute I heard that, and I was actually really glad to hear that from Janine. That is where this ultimately lies. I don't want to take agency away from teams. They got to be held accountable for their own actions as well. But if we as a now community, a society, start saying, how do we fix this? Well, we can focus on the cities and the way they handle crime. Do they demand accountability? And we've got to focus on the home. Lawrence, I would doubt you disagree. Families. We're going to have to hold families accountable if they can't hold their children accountable.
Well, you know, both of us from Texas, I spent the first part of my career working in juvenile justice. And there were some times where the court would bring the child, and of course, because the child is missing, the legal counsel is there, but many times the parents is there as well. And there were many times where you saw that the young child family was working or came from single homes. But there was a lot of times that you saw the defendant, the child, and you saw the parent, and you saw where they got it from, which was at the home. And so I think, look, I spent a part of my career talking about juvenile justice reform and giving these kids another shot. And I think that has hurt our system. I think a lot of us are finding that when you did not give these young people consequences, they became repeat offenders and also tools of a lot of the criminal enterprise that's out there, Will.
Yeah. What interesting perspective, Lawrence. You worked in that area, and now you wonder whether or not that was the right call. Lawrence, you and I are good friends. We're not just friends, I think it's fair to say we're friends. And I think Johnny knows that. And one of the privileges of good friendship is the ability to address things directly. And, you know, you're not blind, I'm not blind, audience. When you see this, it is primarily young black teens. There is no race that has a monopoly on crime. I can show you video of a young white man throwing a keg through a cupcake restaurant in D.C. last night. But what we're talking about here is a trend, and it does index towards young black teens. What's going on, Lawrence?
Well, it used to be just young black men, but it's the women as well. And I think when you have a society, you know, the home is one aspect of that. The first authority figure that young people see is the mom and dad. And many of those kids either don't have that in their life, but I also think when you have a criminal justice system now that is focused on the numbers and the proportion of the punishment and not the offenses being committed, you open up the door for young people to continue repeating that cycle. You know, it doesn't give me any great pleasure. Sending me and say, hey, didn't you used to work with this kid? And I think part of the responsibility were those of us that were part of the criminal justice system that said, okay, there's another path here. But I think we were way too lenient, and that we didn't give these kids punishment first. Because when you give punishment, you let these young people know what they did was wrong. And unfortunately, our criminal justice system is not designed right like that right now.
Really good stuff, Lawrence. Before we go, Heather, you know, I talked about Luigi Mangione. You saw that stuff that I just read aloud, and you said what? What was your reaction to hearing those three women who are big fans of Luigi?
Well, I thought it was deplorable. I think that it's insulting to me as a female, because when we see the fans of Luigi Mangione, it's mostly females. And I think that we've come such a long way as a gender, and it's just taking us back decades.
Yeah. And we've seen the macro stats on how wildly far left women have gone. Now, whether or not it's fanboying Luigi in the ways of Che Guevara or the Boston Marathon bomber or whatever other serial killer women like to write letters to, or it's the ideological part of this, I don't know. I don't know what's driving this sickness, but it does seem to be afflicting particularly women.
Yeah, and I'm focused on this one right now because it's staring me right in the face. Yeah.
All right, Heather Barbera, Lawrence Jones, thank you both so much for being with us. All right, back to our Fox News alert. We return to the active shooter situation at the Islamic Center of San Diego. Police say the threat has been neutralized. Now, The Council on American Islamic Relations says at least one person has been killed, and there are reports of several people hurt. Joining me now is former Assistant FBI Director Chris SWTOR on the phone, and retired FBI Supervisory Agent James Gagliano with us right now. Chris, I'd love to start with you. You're joining us on the phone. That's the latest that we have. The threat's been neutralized. CARE, I don't know if CARE is a legitimately credible news source on this, but there is video that does confirm what many of us have seen. There looks to be at least one person who has been killed. Your thoughts, Chris?
Yeah, a local channel is reporting in San Diego is reporting a suspect is dead. At least one suspect is dead. You know, that term neutralized tells me that somebody's dead. And I think that this is one of those situations where everybody has responded, FBI, ATF, local police, Sheriff's Department, California Highway Patrol. We're well over an hour into it, but I think they're beyond the, we're triaging the victims, and taking them, and they've got them out of there. So this is an act of crime scene now.
The power of the
And they
dark
gotta
side is
get all
in
that
me.
information together to get it in one place.
James, I want to get to you just for a moment. We did speak a little bit earlier, so I'm gonna redirect this follow-up now to Chris really quickly. And I just want to say I want to balance responsibility, limited information, and all that we do and do not know in this moment, Chris. But I do know that in the hours after 9/11, it took virtually no time for everyone inside the FBI and National Security Apparatus to say Osama bin Laden. Now, this is a much easier crime to perpetrate. It's not as complex. But I would imagine there are people inside the FBI who already have some indications and already have some motivations in mind, Chris. So, acknowledging we need to be responsible for what we know and what we don't know, is there anything you think responsibly can already point to and go, wow, this is probably the direction we should look?
Yeah, I mean, accepting all of your acknowledgments, I would say that inside the agencies right now, that if they don't have clear indications of motivation, there's almost a presumptive motivation when you have a church as a target and the people inside of the church or a mosque or a synagogue, and that sort of speaks to some type of domestic terrorism, somebody trying to inflict their ideology on someone else through violence. I'm not saying that's what it is, but whenever we apply common sense to these situations, and whether they they'll get to the bottom of it quickly. Maybe he's in a car, there's information there in his pocket. There are, personally, wherever he's there, try to get some information there, and we'll know pretty soon. But just thinking of what we see here, that's where there's almost a presumption there until you prove it otherwise at this point.
And look, there's pattern recognition, and unfortunately, as a nation, we've become accustomed to establishing patterns. Those patterns are not infallible. There are obviously always outliers. James, here's what's interesting about patterns. If a synagogue is attacked, we know with some level of high probability which direction to look. If a church is attacked, it's a perhaps wider consideration of possibilities. I asked you a little bit earlier, James, about sectarian. Have we had that in America? What is the history of attacks on Islamic centers, on mosques? There's not a lot of pattern recognition to even point us. I'm sorry, at least in my mind, and I'm going to ask my show staff right now to look it up. How frequent have attacks on Islamic centers and mosques been? But I don't know that we have a lot of pattern to lean back on, James.
Yeah, well, that's a great question, and I'm going to agree with the retired assistant director there. I think Mr. SWTOR's got it right. We keep the aperture open. Obviously, we have to follow the evidence bereft of fear or favor, and right now, we're focused on making sure no one else is going to get hurt and that there are no follow-on conspiracies. There's nobody that's providing material support to the attack that just happened, but we don't know yet what the motivation was. But Will, to your point, Christians, Jews, and Muslims are the number 1, 2, and 3 religions across the globe that are attacked every year in vast numbers. In New York City, Jews are attacked 70% of the time when it involves hate
I'm
crime.
running out of
And in
patience.
this instance,
Have you finally acquired the movement to cover brain, or should I send someone
in
else?
Iran right now, you have
I got what you wanted.
95% of the population is a Shia population.
Wonderful.
This was a
Let me see
Sunni
it.
mosque. Now, that does not mean that this was a terrorist attack. That does not mean that this involves sectarian violence. But these are the things that investigators are looking at as soon as they make certain that the threat is neutralized and that there are no follow-on attacks planned.
If there's nothing else?
But James or Chris, I'll go to you first. James is following. Chris, if you have more information, I'm just curious.
Menorah, if you can't show my work the appreciation
this is not to say there's never been attacks on mosques. I'm sure,
no place for you as
and
my
hopefully my show staff will pull it up to provide you information to the audience as we're running this breaking news. We still have a lot of examples to say, okay, when that happens. I remember there was one in Southern California.
I'm releasing you from my service.
So San Bernardino, but that ended up being a domestic issue, if I remember correctly. That wasn't at a mosque, but that was at a work center. But we don't have a lot of examples of attacks on mosques. Again, I'm sure there are some. Chris,
take your reward and leave.
Some famous ones that I'm not pulling up from memory at the moment?
No, just going back to 9/11.
You should reward me for exposing this traitor.
Eliminating an enemy of the Sith Empire is its own
after 9/11. We were getting quite a few reports of threats against mosques. And that was that particular time frame. I don't recall a whole, I can recall a single attack against the mosque right now at the top of my head since then. So, it's wide open right now, as Jim says, Dave says, and we got to get more information on it. But I will note this: that was the mosque that two of the 9/11 hijackers attended way back when. There was quite a bit of activity on the part of several hijackers in San Diego, and I don't know, I'm not mentioning any particular relevance to it.
I think Chris's phone is breaking up. It's not a technological conspiracy. He sounds like he's on a cell phone. I'm sure he'll find some clear spot to smoke. That is a fascinating detail, James. I did not know that. This is the Islamic Center where two of the 9/11 terrorists spent some time. What else do we know? We talked about it, James. You just mentioned it. This is a Sunni Muslim mosque. And we should point out, Sunni is the largest Muslim denomination, for lack of a better word, the divide between Sunni and Shia. Sunni is gigantic, and I would imagine that the vast majority of American Muslims are Sunni. Not all, but the vast majority are Sunni. What else would you be looking at right now? What else is of note to you at this moment, James?
Sure, so Will, it's the threat matrix. And again, bad guys, whether they're terrorists or whether they're criminals, they always take the path of least resistance. Look, I have friends who are Muslim, friends who are Jews, friends who are Catholics, friends who are Protestants. The concern now is everyone is providing their own private security at their services, at their worship services, because they know that the cavalry can't get there until right of boom. And whatever happened here, and again, Will, we've been very cautious, you, me, Mr. Swecker, in suggesting we do not know the motivation here. However, having said that, attacks on religious establishments have begun to proliferate. And whether or not, again, this is something unrelated, or this is related to this new paradigm of
You've no idea how much I appreciate this. Some of these chemicals take months to manufacture. Not much use to you, but vital to us.
Let's not forget
You're welcome to use some of our equipment as compensation. I'll make sure to mention you to the commander.
Or a government through threats or violence or intimidation. We don't know if that's that here yet, right? But
and you made the point earlier, which I think is important. It could be domestic. We have no idea at this point, James. But here we are today. We're spending some time talking about the women standing outside the court case of Luigi Mangione, celebrating the assassination of the United Healthcare CEO. Is this part of a larger assassination culture? Is it part of a tribalism in America that is taking effect and now finally and ugly turning to violence? Or is it unfortunately even more common than that? And that is the United States beginning to reflect the way the rest of the world operates when it comes to religion. Because, as I mentioned earlier, for sake of the argument, if it were Shia Sunni, or if it's Judaism and Sunni, or Judaism and Islam, these things happen all around the world. They just don't happen as often here in the United States. And so something is changing here in the United States. And, we'll wait and see what is actually happening. What is happening? I want to share this with the audience, James. You'll hang with us. This is just in from Bill Malusian. So one suspect is deceased. A possible second suspect is in custody. Now, Fox is told a mosque security guard was shot, and his condition, presumably it was a male, is unknown. We also have this that was posted on Facebook from the San Diego imam. He writes, "This is Imam Taha from the Islamic Center of San Diego. I wanted to send this message to the entire Muslim community of San Diego. We are safe. The entire school is safe. All of the kids, all of the staff, all of the teachers are safe and out of the Islamic Center. We have a few casualties not confirmed yet. There's no threat at this moment, but we want everyone to stay away from the Islamic Center of San Diego. We are closed for the rest of the day. Stay safe, stay at home, and make a lot of prayers." Okay, I don't know if James has remained with us, but we also have now Jonathan Fahey, former acting ICE director, with us as well. So, Jonathan, I'll go to you. The news here from Bill Melusian is, and we should clarify that a suspected second.
My master's gonna kill me.
You must be one of the slaves. The word suspected carries a lot of weight.
Easy to see
But
why
if there is a second, I would imagine that sort of changes this investigation. Now, it doesn't close the door. James and I have been talking about on the domestic issue or something more personally motivated. It doesn't close the door on that, but it does start leading you into something that's a bit more coordinated.
That's exactly right. Yeah, if you have two people involved, you have a conspiracy to do some harm, and it does lead you more in the direction of terrorism than maybe some domestic thing or workplace dispute or the other types of things that might be out there. And I do have to keep, your point earlier, I think is quite good about the Sunni Shia division, because remember, all of the Arab states that are supporting basically the United States in the Iran conflict are Sunni, and Iran is Shia, so that's certainly something that's probably being looked at. And the fact that you have two actors on this, it certainly makes that a more likely possibility. Again, we're in the world of speculation, but I'm sure they are on top of that, looking into that. But it's interesting that there are two shooters that were stopped, and there's only one security guard mentioned. It does seem to be somebody did quite a good job in neutralizing them or stopping them. So maybe it was that security guard, and that's really hats off to that person, because a lot of lives were presumably saved. When you see all these little kids running out there, it's such, it's I don't want to say it's a good news story, but it's good news because to the extent that something really, really awful didn't happen to them.
Oh, well, that image on our screen as we speak is a blessing. Seeing all of these children walk out of that school and mosque, something went right, and that for every parent, including myself, you look at that, and that right there is a video, a piece of imagery that is a sign of relief and a blessing. James, this is so we have a second shooter here now. As Jonathan pointed out, that is another piece of evidence. We continue to just try to piece this together. It did occur to me when Jonathan was talking. We know, I think we know personally, we know in the news, synagogues have become hardened targets. They are covered up in security. Almost every synagogue in the United States has hired private security. They have very, very strong security. Do you know what it's like around most mosques in the United States? As John points out, there was clearly a security guard on staff. And somebody did something right if there's one taken down and one in custody, whether or not that was law enforcement or just street staff there. Are mosques employing, at some level, what we become familiar with when it comes to synagogue security?
Yeah, I think you have to, Will. And I think, again, the paradigm has shifted. And Christians, Jews, and Muslims and their houses of worship are places that have to be hardened. And why is that? They've been referred to historically as soft targets. Look, we learned our lesson years ago in 2012 in Newtown, Connecticut, and then in 2018 in Parkland High School, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, and then in Uvalde, Texas in 2022. We keep relearning these lessons. And Will, I'll say this because I know you're a student of history and you're in Texas. This whole thing started August 1st, 1966, 60 years ago, when Charles Whitman crawled up into the tower in University of Texas and shot a bunch of co-eds up. And that really was the birth of SWAT in America, where we have to go to the sound of the guns. Well, we're in a new paradigm now, Will. We can't wait for the cavalry, and a lot of these institutions, to your point, mosques, churches as well as synagogues are employing private security.
Yeah, Whitman was at the University of Texas Tower. Did you just say how long it was? James, was he up there an hour and a half? They couldn't get up. He had barricaded the door. They couldn't get through the door. He sat at his leisure up there and shot for something like 90 minutes. It's a big moment in American history. Gentlemen, I have this next piece of information that's slowly starting to come in. The Associated Press is reporting that the 2 suspects in the shooting at the San Diego Mosque are dead. All right, both suspects in the shooting are dead. It will be interesting to find out, you know, is that the hands of security as we've been discussing, or is that response time from law enforcement in the area, James?
I think it's a little bit of both. First of all, we understand that there was a security guard there that was hit. We don't know his condition. Was he the one that was killed there? But I mean, again, for law enforcement, we've been trained to go to the sounds of the guns. We've learned our lessons. They've been painful, painful lessons. And look, Will, if you'll give me 1 second, one of the things that the FBI now for the last decade has been teaching for people in these situations where a shooter comes in, a mass shooter or a terrorist, there are 4 things to do in order: run, hide, fight, tell. So the first thing is if you can get away, do it. The second thing is hide, understanding the difference between cover and concealment. Fight if you have to, and make sure to tell law enforcement what you saw, so it helps them as they move in to neutralize the shooting.
Yeah. All right. So we have 2 shooters down, Jonathan, and that is the extent to which we have heard suspects mentioned. So again, the AP reporting 2 suspects in the shooting at the San Diego Mosque are dead. Where does that leave us now? We've moved from neutralized, and before that we heard active but contained. Now I presume it's full-on investigation. It's find out who these 2 individuals are and see who they can connect to, as James was talking about there. It's now investigating the potential conspiracy.
Exactly. Like, not just these 2, but who else might be involved. So they are going to be in their phones, in their computers, talking to everyone that might know them, that know people that know them, people in the mosque, because time is of the essence if there is a broader conspiracy, maybe not just for this mosque, but for something else. So I think
Stop attacking them, damn it.
The most important point of the investigation is right after something occurred. And I think, just going back to James's point, a lot of this might be the result of preparation because of bad things that have happened in the past, and it's, thankfully these 2 are neutralized.
I don't know if Chris Swecker's still on the phone with us now, but I want to give him a chance to have the last word if he's still with us here. Actually, excuse me, Chris, James, Jonathan, what we have right now is that a police press conference in San Diego on this shooting in San Diego at the mosque. Let's listen in.
Also responding to that
You saved my life.
call for service
Literally.
at the same time. There was a landscaper that was doing his work that was shot at, and fortunately was not hit. That was at about the 7100 block of Salerno, which is just a couple blocks from here. Moments later, at the 3800 block of Patton, officers were called to that location where they found a vehicle in the middle of the street with who we believe to be the shooters in this incident. The circumstances that led up to this and the details of what happened and exactly which time it happened will come out in the days ahead.
Kill him with
I can tell you, this is, in 28 years, this is the most dynamic and impressive response that I have ever seen in policing. We have
Let Joe be an example. From destroyed him easily, like he will destroy all. Are there any other objections?
No objections.
Now the rest of you know what's trying to go. You stay here.
The gratitude,
You think yourself pretty clever.
the willingness to step into harm's way in a moment like this.
I don't really think about it one way or the other.
And I tell you
did
what,
as I
Doctor,
was told.
You are lucky Lord Zash finds you
watching the kids come running out
for your trial. The last, darkest secrets of Tulak Horde are buried in his tomb. Lord Zash wants this text. But the final resting place of the dead Lord is not easily trespassed. You will not be the first to die there.
Because of Islamic Center location.
Yes, I get it already.
We are
You send me
considering
into a
this
tomb
a
to
new
do the
crime
impossible, hoping
until
I
it's not.
die. And I
And
come
at this
back
point,
and
we're
prove
going
you
to work
wrong.
closely with the FBI to make sure that we are matching all the resources that we need for this investigation.
Do not come back here until you've gotten the text from Tulak Horde's tomb. Out of my sight, slave.
My name is Mark Brimley, Special Agent in charge of the FBI San Diego Field Office. Today, the FBI responded to assist our local law enforcement partners in the Islamic Center of San Diego. This was based on reports of an active shooter. As the chief said, what we know at this time is that there are 3 deceased adult males. And those are the 2 victims at this time. We extend our sincerest condolences to the family and friends of this tragedy. There were 2 subjects, both teenagers, and both were confirmed deceased. I want to thank our local law enforcement partners for their response.
I have need of you, young one. Whatever errand your master sent you on can wait until we are through. As you say, I am Inquisitor Yurin, and I represent the intelligence operations of the Sith. We are currently holding an important Jedi prisoner, a spy who attempted to reach this academy. We have plans for him. Upon capture, we found the Jedi's mind simple to manipulate. We fed him false memories through a combination of drugs and sorcery. Soon he will return to his Jedi commanders and report the lies we fed him. He will know nothing of what we've done. All that remains is to stage his escape.
And once he's free, what will he tell the Jedi? What did you plant on him?
Information that should encourage certain outer rim colonies to reduce their defenses. Once that happens, we can arrange the destruction of those colonies and their Jedi defenders. You are young enough, new enough, to be a plausible traitor. You will go to the Jedi, talk to him, do as he asks, earn his trust. When that is done, set him free. Do whatever is necessary to get him out of prison. We will ensure that he reaches his ship and returns safely to his Jedi friends.
Would you have the temperature right for?
345. That's what I called.
I'll leave it at 350.
You will find the Jedi Quarian daughters in the jail cells. He is still confused and should not be overly difficult to convince.
Say it for another what? Hour?
I don't want 1 hour.
Half hour?
I don't want to overcook the meat.
Say half hour.
I want to be here to emphasize what our police said.
Yet another acolyte stands in the shadow of our academy. You must consider yourself privileged. Tell me, you.
No.
Have you seen this from civilization? Have you been awed by this world's power?
All I've seen is dust and tubes. Not very impressive.
Then you have not been blinded by your master's plans. Korriban was wrought by the true Lord Sith millennia ago. Our ancestors, the crimson race of Templars, raised the statues around. Over the years, however, they became slaves. Now the red markings of true Sith are rare.
Students can be picked up at the church just down the street here. With that information already sent out, which is interesting.
Red skin makes
You don't need to go outside.
Red skin is
But at this moment, I want to
the strongest
discuss my
indicator of the might
this
but not the only.
4 million San Diegans
True
for the
purity
incredible law enforcement response that you saw here today.
Blood is being
As Chief
diluted
mentioned,
in
we
rich
responded in
rituals.
4 minutes.
In the Emperor's name, I
We
have
trained
come
for
to
it.
learn
This is
whether
what
the Academy's overseers are
we asked
safe
of our
or
public
not.
safety professionals, and they absolutely delivered the way that we asked them to do so. I appreciate our San Diego Police Department, our San Diego Fire Rescue Department, our Chief of the
I possess
Fire
an
Department
ancient
is here
device,
as
a
well,
holocron,
as well as our
can read and
local,
record
state, and federal
bloodlines.
partners.
It
They
can
will
pulse with
contribute
life near
directly
the edges.
to the gravity of the
Allow the
situation
holocron
and
to
why
fulfill its purpose.
it's
Stand near the overseers as if attuned to their blood
such a
purity.
tragic situation for which we're reading a lot more work to be done in the days that's ahead. Again, my condolences to the victims and their families. Muslim community, one of our great leaders is here. Taha. this is a time for making sure that we do everything that's necessary. Today, it said I was here today, but you're here. And I always will. There's no place when it happens or any nature occurs, we will hold you accountable. Again, appreciation of your professional material back to you.
I have cat eyes. I can just see better in the dark.
We'll open it up to questions here in just a second. I want you to keep in mind, we're giving you what we have and what we know at this point. And there's only so many limitations. There's a limitation of what we can go into at this point until we can confirm information. So with that, we'll open up to questions. Yeah, so thank you for asking. How many total deceased? So we have our 2 suspects that are deceased. We have 3 victims at the Islamic Center. All 3 are adults. For a total of 5 people that are deceased related to this incident.
All right, now.
Where do I go?
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so we are actively investigating that right now to figure out, piece together to this moment. And as we get that information confirmed and verified, we'll be back out here providing more details moving forward. So the suspects at this point appear to have died from self-inflicted gunshot wounds. There were no officers involved in firing their weapons. But that is still very preliminary at this point. But that's what we believe. 2 males. At this point, we believe them to be 17 and 19.
There's no emotion. There's peace. There's no ignorance. There's knowledge. The Jedi Code will guide me.
I take it you're the Jedi who was captured?
So, again, we are actively investigating the things that led up to this. Obviously, these things don't typically just happen
Why are you here?
on a whim. And the information that we knew preceding it is what we're actively looking into. Once we get that information verified and assembled, we'll provide
the word of a Sith.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't understand. You're here to help me. Why am I talking in circles? What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
Am I supposed
So
to care?
the Islamic Center does have security.
There's no passion. There's serenity. There's no chaos. There's harmony. The Jedi
One
Code
of
will
the
guide me.
deceased is
I
a
can
security
focus.
guard that
If you want
works
to help me
there.
escape, I need my belongings, my lightsaber, my comrades.
And
Before
I
was
think
captured,
played
the Sith chased me into the tomb of
a
Tulak
pivotal
Ord.
role
I hid
in
my belongings
assisting
inside an urn to light my load. That is where
in
you
this
need to
being
go.
much worse. Yes.
What? You want to come in?
The Islamic Center does have cameras in there, there's going to be a tremendous amount of information,
You like running in and out,
details that we're going to try to sort and put this puzzle back together. Not confirmed.
This academy is
No.
fall before our might. We need no masters.
Shannon, I don't necessarily know, which locations were put on a lockdown. There's other neighboring schools in the area. It's standard protocol. When information like this comes out with an active shooter, we try our best to get that information out and either shelter in place or evacuate from the area if it's ideally safe to do so. So that would not be outside of protocol for that to happen.
One more question, right?
Yes. So our initial officers that got on scene did not engage with the suspects in the parking lot. They began to make entry into the Islamic Center. They observed 3 deceased bodies outside of the center, which Obviously, of course, next to the page, and then you have to immediately deploy inside of the Islamic Center and start moving from room to room. You'd have to breach doors to get into all the different rooms. Extremely chaotic. There was somewhere between 50 to 100 police officers inside of that facility. All of you that responded here could see how many officers and deputies from around the county that were surrounding the outside of the facility.
Those
We
are
also had the
the
scene a couple blocks away where we had active gunfire coming in on a landscaper that was just out there doing his job. Thankfully, he's okay. Was not hit. He was not injured. But we've got a lot of work to do to try to figure out what led up to this and exactly what actions took place. But I can tell you with 100% certainty, the heroic actions of the responding officers and deputies is beyond words. To know that this many of our public servants are willing to leave their loved ones behind, drop what they're doing, and run towards gunfire without asking any questions.
Oh, Brat.
Is remarkable.
Oh, now we want back out. Come in and have a quick fight.
Yes.
Left the food and I want to back out.
Not yet.
He's running in and
Obviously,
out.
making no notification to speak to family loved ones, and so I want to respect that. So we will be back with more information a little bit later today. Thank you, guys.
Fred, you got a big ass fly
We have
flying
been
around
listening to the police chief in California give an update there. It's the largest mosque in San Diego area. Was shooting today. 3 adult victims are dead. There's a school on the campus as well. 2 shooters are dead and apparently from self-inflicted gun wounds. And they were described by the FBI agent there as teens. And the police chief said they believe they are ages 17 and 19. All the children at the school were safe. And the police officer there, the chief, saying that they will consider this a hate crime until it is not. It's still early in this situation. Just to recap, 3 adult victims were killed today. And it appears that the suspects
Wednesday's supposed to be nasty. Wednesday? Yeah.
The 5 in process. Let's switch gears now to the redistricting wars heating up across the South as some Democratic lawmakers play the race card in their fight against Republicans. Big names like AOC and Cory Booker taking a stage in Alabama over the weekend, rallying supporters at voting rights events that were taking place.
It is time for the North to pull up to the top. Here I am. Here I stand. Take someone's hand and say like our ancestors did and make it true. We
That's not on the outside, because I don't think that's on the
There
outside.
are people in this hostile anti-black administration that would rather black Americans pick Congress, the president, than pick their congressperson, than pick a senator.
Kamala Harris also jumping into the conversation. The former vice president accusing
Yeah, it's
Republicans
gone now,
of
so
using
it was
racism
outside.
to cheat in elections.
They're basically backdooring racism through politics. They know the power of the people and it scares them. Because if they thought on merit that they were winning, they wouldn't have to resort to
Not having to vote, you know.
thinking about, we need to have basically a no bad ideas brainstorm. That's how I'm thinking about it. Like a good old fashioned no bad ideas brainstorm.
So we won't, but we couldn't do the entire hour on this topic. Let's go first to Harold and your take on the Democrats' reaction here to the Supreme Court and the redistricting wars that we are in.
So good to be with you. Glad that you were back, and I'm glad the book tour went well. I think about this differently than some of my friends and former colleagues in Congress. I view this as a fight that we're having over power. And the currency that is being used is obviously politics and redistricting. Now, interestingly, on the Democrat side, I've heard Senator Warnock and a few others talk about this. Senator Warnock is African American. He represents a state that is majority white. Yet he was elected United States Senator. You have 4 Republican black members of Congress who represent districts that are predominantly right: Byron Donalds, Wesley Hyde, John James, Burgess Owens. You also have a senator from Delaware, black woman senator from Delaware, who represents a predominantly white state, and a senator from Maryland, and obviously Tim Scott from South Carolina, Republican. I understand what they're trying to say, but I think it's important to put all of this in context.
No, because the carrots got look like shriveled up.
Difference with all of this thing is that we're doing this redistricting.
Yeah, look how shriveled they are.
Everyone accepts that there's politics
I don't want them
in
dead.
redistricting. You do it at the beginning of a decade. You count the number of people in your state. You may get a reallocation of your congressional districts more or less depending on how big the state is or how much it's grown or shrunk. And generally, if the state has grown in population, you get a more congressional districts. And if you're a Republican governor or a Democrat governor, at that time you get more the opportunity to control those districts. The court has said that race cannot be a predominant factor, the only factor doing it. I do think we'd probably be having a different conversation. The Senate says that if the Supreme Court said that you couldn't draw districts with a big number of non-college educated white men, that's unconstitutional. We'd probably be saying something differently about this. I wish and hope for a day where race has no bearing at all on how we draw districts. But what I hope for that anything that can be a part of doing is saying that we will not redraw districts mid-decade. For Republicans that are happy about this right now because the numbers might be in their favor, Democrats at some point are going to have the majorities in the governorships in these states, and they may do the same. I pray that they don't, but they may do the same. But I caution my Democratic friends to leave the race out of it. We have a lot of progress in this country in the racial front. We have a long way to go as well. We have a black president in the last 20 years. You have black members of Congress who are Democrat and Republican, representing predominantly white districts, and you have black senators representing predominantly white states. To me, that flies in the face of some of the things that we heard in our opening.
The other thing that they kept saying repeatedly in the that signal talking points, Jesse, was that the Republicans are cheating. And I wonder how that will stick, because the Supreme Court ruled, and that's cheating. But if they like what the Supreme Court says, then it's legitimate.
I just noticed that AOC was speaking behind a bulletproof glass. Donald Trump doesn't even do that. Why was she doing that? Cory Booker didn't do that. Randy Weingartner didn't do that. I don't even know why Randy's there. What does she care? I mean, test scores are going way down. She should be in hiding, but not there. Is there a specific credible threat against AOC's life? Should we know about this?
That's still from January 6th. It's still
probably. I don't want to make light of it or anything like that. We called her office to see why did she deliver a speech behind bulletproof glass, and she didn't get back to us. Hopefully that's there is no threat, but I don't know. If there was an option to speak behind bulletproof glass, she decided to take that. Did someone tell her to do that? Or did she believe she was in such danger that she needed to do that? I have no idea. But she's talking tough anyway behind the bulletproof glass, and she's behind the bulletproof glass calling trouble. This guy got shot in the head, bounced up, and took the White House. Isn't that weird? The things she's saying and the things her crew is saying are actually putting lives in danger, calling people white supremacists, saying we want blacks picking cotton, saying that the North needs to fight the South again.
I can't wait to get my lightsaber.
You have a Supreme Court with 2 black justices, a Hispanic justice, a Jewish justice, 1 white justice, adopted 2 Haitian children. This is not a racist court. It's probably the most diverse court in the history of the country. This is not a racist country. We just found out the left was financing racism with donations. So the race card, it just doesn't hit the way it used to. And I am with my friend Harold. I think we should stop.
Greg, as Kamala Harris also says, because of this, they should have a no bad idea range.
Yeah, we covered this last week. The moment somebody says no bad ideas, it's because they have no ideas. I've never been in a meeting where it begins with no bad ideas and you get anything out of it. She has nothing upstairs. Look, it was interesting. If you look at the crowds, it's almost all white in these things, which is interesting. I do admire the dedication to a fag. Everybody's grown up, moved on, settled down, and they're still living in the past. Those leaders are living in the past, which is what the race card literally is. You're living in the past.
to imprint it on the future. The things that they say are happening aren't happening. It used to work. We used to be paralyzed by the fear of the scarlet letter R for racism, but the race card doesn't work anymore on half the population who sees through it. The other half are just doing it out of habit. But, you know, we disarmed the left because we lost the fear. And so now it's just a gun shooting blanks. You may appeal to the voter who agrees on race, but you already had them. And absent of other tools beyond the race card, you are kind of like a fat, out of shape fighter with no way to win but to call out the refs or just cancel the whole game. The underlying emotion in all of this.
Putting the bunny back in his cage.
The Dems have exploited fear. And it's not just here. If you think about, like, how profoundly awful was trans rights for kids to give perverse men the agency over our children's sexuality? How did that happen? It was like we feared the swarm of activists calling us transphobic. We feared being called bigots if we came out against illegal immigration. We feared punishing criminals because we thought we were going to be called racist. Once you lose the fear, you can finally get back to the normal way things go. And the Democratic Party, in my opinion, still has to do that. They haven't done it. They're still on the same path of destruction they've always been on, which is identity politics. It's taken this country down a terrible path. You know, Harold brought up, like, 20 years ago, race relations were better. All the polls show that. They were better. Oh. Yeah. Oh, yes, they were. Well,
I think the natural progression is we get better. We don't just speak.
All right, I'm just using the polling at Jessica here. The polling on race relations were far more optimistic before Barack Obama was elected, and then it just got worse and worse. I'm not saying it's on him, but I'm trying to figure out what happened since then. Did the KKK return? Was discrimination now decided to be illegal? Was there some kind of idea of attack that happened? No, the only thing that happened was the attack on the idea of the melting pot. The idea that you're an American first, doesn't matter how you look or what gender you are. They created a poison, a toxin that they put in that melting pot. And now, all of a sudden, race relations are worse, and people are at each other's throats, but primarily in these little factions in the identity politics world. This is a filter, Harold, and I think I'm talking about identity politics. It is a filter put in place to destroy a country because it's absolutely opposite what a melting pot is.
Forget, we had a history in our country. We had slavery for a long time.
Yes, we ended slavery. And we ended it, Harold. We fought a war to end it. I think aren't we the only country to ever fight a war to end slavery? We didn't start slavery. Where did slavery start? It's an ugly fact. It's not from us.
We have laws in our books that didn't allow for
it. I understand that.
So I agree with you about the race. I wish they didn't talk about race, but would you agree with me that you shouldn't redraw congressional lines mid-decade? That's what the president's doing.
I don't care. Well, I look at these districts and I see all of these Republicans and no representation. That's wrong.
But here's the thing. I can tell you what this is wrong about race. I'm talking. We have to be on the level here. You should not redraw lines in the middle of a decade. You should do it at the beginning of a decade, like everyone else has done. The president decided to do it a different way.
I didn't hear that argument against Virginia and California.
But they were responding to Indiana.
They're not responding to it. California had already redistricted themselves into a corner. New Hampshire. New Hampshire. Okay, I don't like the redistricting at all because this is what you get. I mean, what you get is an ongoing political war that, you know, and I have to give progressives credit for it because they have played class warfare to the hilt. And they have gotten a lot of mayorships because of it. They've gotten a lot of attention, and now they're getting a lot of money from establishment Democrats who are void of ideas.
This academy
if some of your fellow Democrats will listen to the things that you talk about consistently, your party would be in much better shape. But they're terrified to do that. And they have been terrorized by these progressives that since they played the class warfare card so well, now they're going to the race warfare card. And it's awful. It puts us in such a horrific moment in our country that it almost becomes insurmountable. And Greg is absolutely right. 20 years ago, like, we were all raised to be colorblind. We were raised to want to have friends from different parts of the city and different parts of the country. And now you are telling people that they have to be forced to live in certain areas. And if you are black and you are middle class,
class and you want to be upper middle class
couldn't
and
agree
you
more.
want to use that economic mobility to move to a safer, better part of your state, you're being told by Justin Pearson and AOC and Cory Booker that you're a traitor. That is nonsense. We have to see beyond that in our families, in our communities, in our politics, but with the attention whores, like the people screaming into bullhorns today, that is an impossibility.
There's a guy in Virginia radio host who told the Republican woman who was in Congress that he's against Hakeem Jeffries coming down to Virginia and trying to dictate what to do. He was fine to say that. Then he said at the end, tell him to keep his cotton-picking hands off Virginia. That was race. He should not have said that. Now, I don't disagree with a lot of things you guys said about identity politics, but when race is obvious, it needs to be called out. In this sense, Greg, I would agree with you. Race is not obvious in what they're talking about, but we should not be redrawing districts in a decade.
All right, coming up next, Hollywood liberals are trying to stop Spencer Pratt. Jesse Handler is begging people not to vote for him.
Hey, we talked before. My head's clear now, Sid.
You know what's crazy?
The unlimited income and get an unlimited buffet.
And seeing your price.
Crazy. Only $1,200 money.
Harmless.
Is it
My lightsaber. Everything I hid. You're going through with it. With all this,
This isn't
once
for
the guards
show.
change shifts,
This is
I
America.
think I can slip out of the
We
academy.
open our doors,
So what about you?
step out into
You
our
be okay?
lawns. We do whatever the hell we want. We build, we burn, we party. A lot.
Don't worry about
Love.
me.
If you're so,
We learn.
I still don't
We
understand
try to
why
raise a
you're
shark.
doing this. But
We
I
keep
thank
it
you.
green. Because this isn't some royal palace. It's just soil,
If everything's
sweat,
settled,
and
I'll be leaving.
250 years
As you
of the
say,
American
Sid.
yard.
Thank you
So
again.
come around back.
I'm sorry the Empire took you in instead of the Jedi. If things had been different, maybe you could have been part of the Order.
Don't let what's happening outside affect how you feel inside. Pillow windows are tested against extreme heat, cold, wind, and rain.
Hi folks, I'd like to tell you about Y Refi. Did you know
So the Jedi is preparing his escape. You did well. Not perfectly, but I have confidence the
And did you
operation
know
will
that
succeed.
you can invest
Our
in
business
1 to
is
5
concluded.
years, and you can
I will
spread
make
your
note of your
investment
assistance
over
in my
those
report.
terms to best suit your needs. And you have the freedom to take
My
your monthly
duty
interest
is my
as
life.
income or reinvest
As it should be.
whatever you choose.
Take these tokens as payment for your service,
When you invest
and
in Y
know that
Refi,
no Jedi can
interest is
threaten
calculated
Korriban.
daily, and you're paid
Now
monthly.
go.
Would you like some more information? Just call 877-80-INVEST. That's 877-80-INVEST. Or log on to investyrefi.com. That's investyrefi.com. For complete details, make sure to review the private placement memorandum and this QR code. So view the
That
disclosures.
lightsaber is?
Y Refi, investing in America's future.
Oh, it is. So she just gave me a lightsaber. Oh, now the fun begins.
America's best network. Plus, America's fastest 5G home internet for just $30 each.
A reliable network is key for us. And with T-Mobile, it's been wonderful. The internet's been perfect. The setup was so easy, it took less than 15 minutes. Going to the 55 plus plan saved us some money.
Switch and save today.
Why are so many people buying a toothpaste that is so expensive? Because Dr. Wolf's Bionic is fortified with 20% hydroxyapatite that brushes on the enamel surface. Core Oral Health is way more expensive. Dr. Wolf's Bionic, available at Amazon.
I'm Elmer Heinrich, at 92 years of age with my wife Shirley, who is 83. Now, both of us are still cutting a wide swath in life, all because of the Nino 150. Now, we are asking you to use the Nino 150 like we do. Give it a chance for at least 90 days.
I've heard rumors of your exploits in the tombs.
You
follow in the footsteps of failed apprentices.
Don't place your order until
Ones
after
sent
you've
to
watched the
slay
videos on our website.
crack the shells of armored
Why deal with a
droids?
hose that is always
You
not? The
fared
pocket
better.
hose stays kink-free even when you tie it up.
That's
I turned
it,
the
exactly.
water on and it expanded
mining
with full
droids
pressure.
not
No
only
more stopping
protected
to
the
untangle
slaves
the line.
who
It is
subverted
lightweight,
their
strong,
program,
and easy to
but
use. Make your life
threatened to
easier and
damage
order
the
yours
tombs of the
today.
ancients.
Anti-burst exterior
Would
is
have been
reinforced with a
unforgivable.
ballistic-grade polymer. When you're done,
And
it
for
shrinks back for
succeeding where
easy
others
storage.
died,
Get your
you
pocket
will
hose
be
today at the Home Depot, Walmart, Ace Hardware, and on Amazon with free shipping. Order now.
With Duro, cars are wherever you want to pick them up. Rental cars are in Section H, Space 45, which is actually back that way. Right car, right where you need it. Duro, rent a car, not a rental car.
Spencer Pratt posting another banger of a campaign ad, this time riffing off the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air theme song.
Yes, my lord.
But sadly, it didn't look like some in Hollywood are ready to go down with California's socialist sinking ship. Celebrities like Mindy Kaling, Colin Jost, and Tina Fey all lining up behind the far-left candidate Nikki Raman, like the Noodle. And Chelsea Handler couldn't resist slamming Pratt for being a straight white male.
Have you seen this video? This is a reminder that straight white male,
Such a
former
simple
reality star
solution.
that has no previous experience in
none of us think
government
of that?
should not be a
We
legitimate
must have thought
political
too deeply
candidate.
on it, believed too strongly
Meanwhile,
that it
LA
could
Mayor
not be
Karen
done.
Bass trying to
Or
stay in the fight
perhaps
with
we
her
were
latest
simply
proposal
not meant
to fight criminals with solar
Your work
panels.
so far in bringing
But we
back
have a
this
terrible
Omicron,
problem
and
in
now the
LA
text from
with
Tulak
copper
holds
wire
too,
theft, which
has
means our
me
street lights
intrigued.
go out
I
all
am
the
watching
time.
your progress
Well, about a
eagerly.
month ago, I
I have
rolled
high
out a
hopes for
plan
you,
to
Acolyte.
install
Sky
60,000
high.
solar lights, moving away from copper. I think
I
that
hope I
he
live
is
up to that.
tapping
Good
into
luck,
a
Acolyte.
general sense
Good
of
luck.
anger that people have, not just in Los Angeles, but in many other places around our country.
All right, Kennedy, you've been following this very closely. Big weekend in the race.
Huh? Why are people angry in Los Angeles? That's
I was
so
just
weird.
about to send
Actually,
Fawn
Karen
off.
Bass,
What delayed
I
you,
have been
slave?
all across the country, especially recently. I've lived in Los Angeles at the better part of my adult life.
Well,
and I will
first
tell
Lord
you,
Zash
people
stopped
are
me to tell me how
angrier
amazing
there
I am, and
than
then we
they
got
are
talking, and I
anywhere
guess
else
I
in the
lost track of
country.
time.
And they are
Just
no
like a
angrier
slave to make
than
up
in Pacific
stories.
Palisades, where,
Lord
like
Zash
Spencer
would crush
Pratt,
you like
they
a
have
gizcat
been
if you ever crossed her
displaced.
path.
And
You are
under
not
your
worthy of her
leadership,
presence.
insurance companies,
Did you
they don't
collect
have
the
to pay
text
for
from
people to
Tulak
rebuild their
Ward's
homes, and they know the longer they delay, the more
Just
likely
take
people
it
are to
already.
take settlements
Give it
that
here.
are pennies on
No
the
doubt
dollar,
it's
that
been
are
badly
pittance
damaged.
for
It's what we
anything
get for
that
sending
would
a
actually
careless
allow them
lowlife
to
to do a
rebuild their
Sith
homes
job.
and their lives.
Isn't that
There
right,
are so
son?
many people in Los Angeles who
What are
don't
we
have to
waiting for,
live
overseer?
in Pacific
Why don't we
Palisades,
kill this
who
wretch
feel
now?
that anger
You have
every
a big
single
mouth,
day
slave,
because
but
their
no
kids are
combat
in
skills.
schools with
I don't want to see you
adults who
again
don't
until
know
you've
how to
satisfied the
read.
Korriban
Traffic is
instructors.
horrible. There's no
The
way the
training
city's going to be
facility is on
ready
the second
to
floor
host the
of the academy
2028
and is usually
Olympics.
reserved for
And
the Dark
the
Lords
people who are
and their
running
apprentices.
against Spencer
This is
Pratt
not
are
a
mental
promotion,
deficients
and
who
you
are
are not to
incapable of
speak to
having
anyone
another
except the
debate.
training master
So
when you are
yes,
up there,
people are
understand?
angry, and they are
You are
angry
not
because of
fit
you.
for
They
their
are angry
presence.
because of your empty reservoirs, because of the proliferation of
I
homelessness,
understand.
the
I
rapes
will
that
be
are
careful
going
not
on
to
in
step
Skid
out of
Row,
place.
and the
You are
animals
just
who
as
are
likely
being
to chop
abused
your own arm
under
off as
your
not,
watch. You
slave.
are doing nothing
Now get
to solve
going to the
problems
second
and
floor
cool
training
the anger.
grounds.
You
You
can
don't
take
want
the
to keep
solar
the instructors
streetlights
waiting.
and shove them where the sun don't shine.
Oh, I got a lightsaber
All
ready to
the
go.
wacky ideas we've heard. We've had the solar panel streetlights to fight crime. We've had the barbecue ban and the free teeth for homeless. What is your
I
favorite?
don't have a training blade anymore.
I know it's a lot to choose
Find
from.
out.
Yeah, I'm gonna. I'll go with the solar panels if I had to choose. I think that we're witnessing something which is something we've asked about other places, which is at what point have people had enough, and are they willing to look at something different? So if the worst thing Chelsea Handler can say about Spencer Pratt is that he's a straight white male, and that he doesn't have political experience, I think he's doing something right. Last week, I was in Houston, Dallas, Chicago, and St. Louis. At each book tour stop, if I did a Q&A, I got asked about Spencer Pratt. I got asked about redistricting, who was going to run in 2028 on the Republican side.
You remember my brother and
And
me
the
from
third question would
downstairs?
be about Spencer
Good
Pratt.
hearken, right?
Why? Well, okay, so he's
Sorry
doing
it had
something
to be this
different. He's
way.
figuring
We
out
don't
a way
like it any more
to
than you
communicate
do.
to people in a
Well,
different way. Who else
maybe
did
a
that?
little more.
Well, recent mayor. Okay, mayoral candidate who became mayor, Mamdani.
Now,
He barely won.
you really don't know
Mamdani
whether I
squeaked
like this or
in,
not.
And Spencer
I'm
Pratt
sorry,
has come
girl.
at a time when
I
with
liked
his
you.
numbers,
I
if you
really
look at the
did.
number of Republicans
But
versus
Harker made us a
Democrats,
deal,
yes,
see?
of course,
We
he's
kill you,
behind.
we go home.
But is he running the type of campaign that could do what Mamdani did in New York and just flip that? If you just have to get a little bit
If you're going to kill me, then do it.
Let's ask the straight right now at the table.
I really am.
Where is he?
Quiet, Balak. The time for talk is
I get the
past.
feel like Karen
Fight for your
Bass
life,
heard
acolyte.
Kamala Harris. It said, no bad ideas.
Yeah, fight for my life. I got a freaking lightsaber. What are you gonna do about it? You got only just those, you know, swords.
Was encouraging her fans not to vote for Pratt. It takes a lot of ego to use the plural for fan. I don't even know what she does. Bass accuses Pratt of coming from a place of anger. So it makes me think, who are the people that aren't angry? You know, like, okay, but I'll give you the homeless. It's the greatest place in the world to be homeless. Year round. You could do your drugs outside, you can sleep anywhere, it's a great climate. So they're just really happy. But you know who else isn't angry? People like Chelsea Handler, people like Mindy Kaling and Colin Jost and Tina Fey. These are wealthy white folks
to hear you
whose
crossed
homes
some
have burned
dark
out.
lord
They never
upstairs
have to
and
worry about
finally got
safety or
yourself
security or
killed.
gas prices
None
or
of the
threats
others have
on their
shown up
lawn.
either.
Which is
I
why these
assume
people have the
they're dead by
luxury
now,
to
which
indulge
means you and
surface
Fawn are the last
issues,
ones.
sexual identity, gender and race, climate,
So I just
climate
kill Fawn and I'm
puffery,
Sith,
if
right?
you will. The whole thing's
This
a
shouldn't
circle
take
jerk of elites, you know, who will vote for
Your
anything
final
that doesn't
trial
affect
will
them
be to retrieve
except for
an
their
ancient map
status.
from the
Colin
innermost
Jost, you
chamber of
remember this guy?
Naga
Lives in New
Sado's
York.
tomb, which has never been breached in
He spent
thousands of
$300,000 on a
years.
decommissioned
But before you
ferry
get the map,
that he wanted to
you'll have to
turn
awaken
into
an
a
ancient assassin
bar.
called
That
the
was his
Shard
money. He
that
sunk it,
sleeps
said it
in
was
the
the worst
tomb.
decision of
You
his life.
cannot
And then he's telling
access the
people
map without
3,000
it.
miles away,
Understand?
whose house is burned down, that he
I
knows
think I can
better
do
for
that
them.
much.
When he made the choice to
And one
destroy
more thing.
a piece of
You'll be
property, he
competing
could go
with
tell people
Fawn
whose
for this
destruction
map.
was out of their
Whoever
hands.
brings it
Tina
back will
Fey
be
also
Lord
lives in New
Zash's
York. Mindy
apprentice.
Kaling lives in a
The
mansion
other
in Hancock
will
Park.
die.
These are
And
people
Fawn
that
has already
that are
started.
able to
So
ignore
my
other people's
advice,
suffering
run,
because
slave.
it's far enough away from them that it doesn't matter. They don't know anybody
One moment, please.
that was affected by
Lord
this, or they
Zash,
never would say this stuff.
what
I
are
put
you
a
doing
challenge to them.
here?
Tell me the people that you
Overseer,
know that
Are you
suffer.
implying that I,
And
a
then tell me
Lord
who you
of the
vote
Sith,
for.
don't have the right
Okay,
to go
and
where
get
I
that to us
please
by
within the
5 o'clock
Academy
tomorrow.
of the
Yeah,
Sith?
well, and if it comes
No,
after 5,
of
I'm
course
not
not,
gonna read
Lord
it.
Zash.
Harold, you were a big Fresh
I saw the
Prince
last
fan
acolyte
back in the day.
I wanted
That
to
was
see
a
the
nice
hopefuls
ad.
off on their
Well, as I
final
say, this
trial.
guy's creative, and
Where's,
it's obviously
what's his,
you see why
the
people
red
want
one,
to country talk
Fawn?
about it.
He
But look
finished
at
his
Los
trial
Angeles, and I
early,
think
so I
Kennedy said
sent
it
him
so
on
well.
rather
We're the
than keeping him
crossroads
waiting for this.
in terms of
Pity.
quality of
I
cost
just
of
finished
living,
translating the
quality of
wonderful text this
you're
acolyte
losing
brought from
businesses,
Tulakol's
you're
tomb.
losing wealthy
And it's most
taxpayers.
illuminating. I don't know that the
You
map
have a
can be
homelessness
retrieved
issue, you have a
without it.
crime issue, public safety issue, you have a housing and healthcare costs are out of control. This is a
What makes you say
moment where
that?
you find
It's too late.
politics sitting
Fawn's
upside down.
already left.
I've tried to
You
say to
can't
my
just-
friends out there,
Is one
that
acolyte an
Democrat
unfair
friends,
advantage
if you
over
don't
the other?
begin offering
Overseer, when has
answers,
being Sith
offering
ever been about being
solutions,
fair?
and stop attacking him,
Now,
you
my
could very
dear
well find yourself in a position where
Here
there's
is what you
a bit of an
must do to
uprising. Los
free
Angeles
the
and
Shard.
California, you guys have a
There are
history of
rods
electing
scattered throughout
people
the tomb
outside.
of
You know,
Naga Sato.
Schwarzenegger should not have
These
won
rods
as a
are the
Republican.
keys to the
He won
chamber
in a
where the
moment of
ancient assassin
crisis
is imprisoned.
there in California.
You will need to
Henry
place the
Reardon,
rods
who
in the
was a
chamber
moderate
door and
Republican, won at a
electrify
time
them.
in which you didn't
I don't know
have
exactly the
white
reason,
men being
but it is
elected
clear
mayor
that you will not be able to
Los
retrieve
Angeles.
the map without
This is a
the
moment
Shard.
here in Los Angeles, and I'm
careful.
rooting for
It is
answers.
very dangerous.
Some around the table may have their parts of it, but I understand why
use
people are
caution.
attracted
I
to
will
this
return
guy.
when both
I
acolytes are back
was
from
in
the tomb.
Syracuse for a day
You
this week
will
with my
not do
daughter for
anything
Sunday game. I
further to
stopped,
affect the
and
outcome of the
gasoline was
trial. Understood?
$4.59. I don't care if
Yes,
you're Democrat or
Lord Zash.
Republican. You don't
Good.
want that. In Los
And good
Angeles,
luck,
there's
acolyte.
specific issues, and if all we can do is talk about him being a terrible guy, him being supported by this person, him being a white male as a disqualifying factor, we deserve to lose if we end up losing this thing. All right, all said, Harold.
Coming up, getting rocked with a side of guac. A violent teen takeover that erupts inside a Chipotle.
Some wireless companies say that they stand for something. What exactly do they stand for? And why would they say it all out? Well, let me tell you what KP Mobile stands for. They stand for the lives of the unborn. They stand for the Second Amendment and the right to protect yourself and your family. They stand for our veterans and first responders who sacrifice so much for our freedom. Make the switch to Patriot Mobile today. And support a company that doesn't just say they stand for something, but one that stands for the things.
You want to go out tomorrow when I get home and get your money for your haircut?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now that's actually cutting. comes in a moment.
May I speak to you for a
You
minute?
play, save blood.
It is, but get his money tomorrow.
Of course you can.
So that
Thank
he
you.
has it.
I'm honored that you would
I've
do
got
this.
mine already.
There was another acolyte
Depression
not long ago
symptoms like
who
lack of
entered this
interest
tomb
and
and
negative
did not come
thoughts
back.
can hold me back.
He died in there.
I wanted to break through.
Death is merely
I
the
asked
final
about
failure
Vraylar.
of the week.
Adding Vraylar
That
to an
seems even more true on
antidepressant
Corrigan.
significantly reduces overall
The acolyte
depression
who went in
symptoms
there.
better than an antidepressant alone.
He was a good sort.
Not for elderly with
Friendly
dementia-related
and talkative.
psychosis due to increased
He
risk
said
of
he
death
was
or
entering
stroke.
the tomb to
Report
prove
changes in
himself to
behavior
his
or
father.
suicidal thoughts to your
I
doctor.
just thought it would be nice
Antidepressants may
if
increase
somebody
use
took
in
his
those
body
under
back and
25.
told his
Report
father he
fever,
didn't
stiff
make
muscles,
it.
or confusion, which may be life-threatening, or uncontrolled muscle movements, which may
Yes,
not
the
go
father
away.
should be told
High
that
blood
his son
sugar
has
may lead to
fallen.
coma or death.
I'd never
Weight gain and high
survive in
cholesterol
there.
may occur.
And even if I
Difficulty
did,
moving,
I
uncontrolled
wouldn't be allowed to
movements,
see his
tremors,
father.
feeling like you need to
He
move,
is a dark
nausea,
honor guard
constipation,
stationed in the
insomnia, dizziness,
None but
increased
Sith
appetite,
can
and
ever set
fatigue are
foot on the
common.
sacred ground
Side
where he
effects may
stands
not
watch.
appear for weeks.
But you could find
Vraylar,
somebody and bring it to his
breaking
father.
through to relief.
Please do this
Ask
and honor
about
the fallen.
Vraylar.
Make summer-driven unforgettable.
I expect a
From
reward.
Riverbend Ranch.
The
Raised the
Star
way
on
nature
guard
intended.
better make it
With no
worth my while.
hormones and no
Thank you so
antibiotics.
much.
And delivered
If you
straight
find
from
the
our
acolyte's
ranch.
remains
Your
inside the
take.
tomb, let me know.
Riverbend Ranch.
I can tell you where to find his father in the academy. Good luck.
Allergy congestion hits me hard. That's why I Navage.
Navage flushes out allergens, mucus, and germs, even 99% of viruses, in just 30 seconds. Preferred by millions, trusted by doctors. There's only one Navage.
Oh, I'm Franklin Graham. The world seems to be upside down, doesn't it? The hatred, the violence, the division, the wars. What's the hope? What's the future? Where's God in all of this? Well, God is still on the throne, and He knows everything about you, and He loves you, He made you, He created you. But we have a problem, and that problem is called sin, and sin separates us from God. But God sent His Son from heaven to this earth to take your sins. He died and shed His blood on the cross for your sins. He was buried. But on the third day, God raised Him to life. He's alive, and He'll come into your heart right now.
I'm an acolyte
That's right,
now, but
Jesus
I'll be
is alive.
Sith soon.
If you've never trusted me as your Savior, do it right now. Just pray this prayer. Just say, God, I'm a sinner. I'm sorry. Forgive me. I believe that Jesus is your
too,
Son,
am
and I want to
despised
trust
in the
Him right
academy.
now as my Savior and invite Him to come in to be the Lord of my life. Amen. If you prayed that prayer, call that number right now that's on the screen.
Dad, you really need to get that colon cancer screen. Colon cancer screen. It's been for a while.
What do you
Do
mean?
just a blood
Stronger.
test. Shield. Shield is for people 45 plus at average risk, not high risk for colon cancer. Ask your doctor about FDA-approved Shield.
Richard Kern here with the brand new Pocket Hose Era, featuring advanced sprayer technology that instantly turns any garden hose into a powerful cleaning machine. You'll clean all around your home fast and easy. Just look at the difference. This baby comes with 4 interchangeable nozzles.
If
From
Frankel's
wide
the one who
spray to
exiled you to
pinpoint,
his
it
cave,
does it all. Now
I doubt
available
he'll
at
change his
Walmart,
mind about feeding
HomeDepot.com, and Amazon with free shipping. Save time and effort cleaning with the Pocket Hose Era. Order now.
If Frankel is really behind all this, he may be worth investigating.
Those teens. The guac and the chairs are flying at it. Chipotle. In D.C., the latest chaotic teen takeover caught on camera, but now a familiar face says enough's enough by vowing to charge the parents.
These are not kids being kids. This is criminal conduct. Parents, you're paying the bills. And if you know where your team is, then what your team is doing, and you allow them to continue their conduct and continue to allow them to flourish, then we're going to prosecute. We are trying to identify these people. They may be teens. They may not be teens. We don't know.
And that's the point, Kennedy. Who cares if they are behavior is behavior? I'm sick and tired of people putting words in front of like violence or crime, political violence, whatever. It's like teen violence is violence. Treat them like criminals.
Yeah, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, and it's like the older teenagers who are doing this, they know exactly what they're doing.
It's property destruction, it's violence, they're instigating, and they should be prosecuted. But in places like DC, they're very squeamish to prosecute when they consider to be minors. But if they are adult acts, then you have to give them, I'm sorry, adult punishment. Because if you just send them, because the problem is, if you have younger people who have a predilection toward violence and you give them the easy way out and they only go into the juvenile detention system for a couple of years, then when they're adults, they have no discipline and they start committing much more serious crimes. If my daughter were at Chipotle doing that this weekend, I would hope that Alvin Bragg came after me, because that would be a parental failing if she were doing that. And, you know, it's like, these parents should know where their kids are on Friday and Saturday nights.
Yeah, you know, Danny, usually the messes in Chipotle or in the men's room. But now, yes, but isn't this behavior incentivized? If you call something teen, then you make it a less severe offense, so you're going to get more of it.
Right. So that's one of the things that happens, especially in DC, and it happens in New York as well. This is why the gang members have initiations, and they make the teenagers do it, because if the teenagers get caught, they have a lower threshold for having to go to jail, or the punishment isn't that hard, or they get a second chance or a third chance. And what Gina Pirro is saying is like, not on my watch anymore. They're sticking broken windows theory there. At least you're trying to solve the problem. You have a marriage race tonight. A marriage race going on right now in DC, and there's a debate tonight. And there is a Mamdani type guy that wants to be the new mayor, and I think that this issue on crime should be front and center, because what did President Trump do when he first got there? Send out the National Guard, bump the brick. Wow, things are better. DC feels better. Why not take it to the next step and make sure it gets even worse?
Harold, I was shocked at your suggestion in the break, capital punishment for parents. I think it's a little harsh coming from you.
I would agree. We got to replay the tape. I agree with something Kennedy just said, that if my child or one of my kids was here, I would expect someone to come after me also. We live in a time and a trouble. In the context of other conversations, there's a lot happening when kids are behaving like this. I do think there's some truth to Dana's point that some of there are these gangs and other things that know these kids can't get in, will not be charged as adults. And maybe our old friend and colleague is right. Maybe we should think about not only charging parents, but maybe we should think about lowering the age a year or two to try to discourage some of this activity. Now, I'm a Christian. I think people should be forgiven, but when you watch something like this, and if that's your kid being beat up, I don't know all the circumstances here in the context, something more than what we're doing right now clearly needs to be done.
But if the parents just aren't there,
right?
That's well, we act like they're going to be there, but maybe they're just not there. Like Jesse.
What are we going to be about teen culture?
I don't know.
I have teens. Sometimes they leave the house on the weekend. I don't know where they are until I see them on the local news channel, because I'm accountable for all of your activity. In fact, I do not throw chairs at Chipotle. It's mostly a 13 to 19-year-old phenomenon, Greg, that you can see it across the country in places like Maine and New Hampshire and Vermont. The good thing is that when the teens turn 20, they all settle down and behave perfectly.
Yeah, it's amazing how it just stopped.
Amazing. You know what we should do about it, Greg? We should just beat around the bush and then throw money at the problem so we feel better about ourselves. And then, because you know what these teens need are more after-school programs?
Yes.
Even though this happened on a Saturday night.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's a teen problem.
It's a teen problem.
Okay. Coming up next, a Chinese-born Hollywood star is calling capitalism evil.
He's got a funny habit and I don't know why. He walks around sitting at night.
Forget the warm-up. DirecTV got hot. They're on fire.
Welcome to the big league, kid.
How old are you?
When you buy beef for Riverbed Ranch, you're supporting over 260 ranching veterans who use our industry genetics to produce the world's most flavorful beef. Riverbed Ranch, American beef.
If you're one of the millions of people enjoying
enjoying the weight loss benefits of GLP-1s. Now you can enhance your weight loss journey with Replenza. It's formulated with essential aminos to help prevent muscle loss while you lose the fat. Plus, it has prebiotic fiber for better digestion and collagen for healthier looking skin. And now there's Replenza's nutritional supplements. 22 essential vitamins, probiotics for gut health, and B-complex for energy. Get Replenza now on Amazon.
Maybe life's hard right now. Maybe you're tired, you're stressed, busy, maybe you feel a little disconnected from God. Yet even now, says the Lord, return to me with all your heart, with fasting, with weeping, and with mourning. Return to the Lord your God, for he is gracious and merciful, abounding in steadfast love. Look, we're all a little bit farther away from God than we need to be. So what do you say? Let's come back home. Just wait. Pray with me every day on how and stay right up. Every day, bumps and bangs happen. Bruises are options. Just daily, dermatologists recommend the German and reduce the appearance of bruises. Get German moisturizing bruise cream is the stand up.
Sure, tell us what it is. Judy's take on the nation's hot button topics.
On this show, we always want to set the record straight.
You can't miss Hannity, weeknights at 9.
My name's Kate Constantine. I'm from Elliott, Maine. I've been banking with Penguin Savings since I was 18. I love that I can go in person and see the people that I know, but if I'm on the go, I can transfer, I can pay bills real quick, I can deposit a check and check my balance. I know in commercials like this, when people are like, oh, I love my bank, they're like my family, they're so close to me, and you're like, come on, they're just your bank. I'm serious. I'm so dead serious. I love Penguin Savings.
Anyway, safe drivers save money with Snapchat since they're not stuck paying for bad drivers' mistakes. Hang on, I love this parrot. Have you seen a dancing parrot, Keith? Well, I'll send it to you. Janice, green light, let's go. Janice, that's so funny. And the light's red.
I've been banking with Kennebec Savings since I was 18. I love that I can go in person and see the people that I know, but if I'm on the go, I can transfer, I can pay bills real quick, I can deposit a check, and check my balance. I love Kennebec Savings.
Hey, sports fans, it's DirecTV Sports Pack time. You can get over 40 weeks from the specialty networks for one low price. You upgrade now for $14.99 per month. We're talking direct access to NBA TV, MLB Network, NHL Network, Golf Channel, and more, making you some more live games, classic finals, and exciting highlights. Don't miss out on the year-round sports you love. Upgrade now to DirecTV Sports Pack for only $14.99 per month.
Hello, welcome back. Bobby Liu, a Chinese-born American actress who moved to the U.S., is now raging against the machine that made her famous, saying, quote, "My rant is that capitalism is the greatest evil in the a real academic there, Blake.
I love that she just started a $20 million movie, which gets paid mid to six figures, in which it glorifies fashion shoplifting by exposing it, and it's going to go away because of that. Who's the capitalist? She's like elevating shoplifting, but she gets paid for it, and then the shoplifting's going to go away. You are so radical. The great thing about these, she's the purest shallow thinker. She thinks she's being edgy, but she's as dumb as a rock. If you think capitalism is the most evil regime, don't you owe it to yourself to say compared to what? Don't you want to make the next step compared to what? They never do. They think that all they have to do is say something is bad, but they don't have to come up with something better historically, so they continue like living as a capitalist and saying it's bad because that makes them feel better and they get virtue signal points. Why do we listen to her?
So if capitalism, to Grace's point, is the greatest evil, what is the greatest good? Like, what is better than capitalism?
So she immigrates here, and then she gets to make choices, right? She doesn't necessarily have choices living in China. And her
choice is to bash capitalism and not the genocidal totalitarian regime that she came from. I mean, it's a choice, and that one that I would make. And she's lucky that she can keep this money, and that her government from her home country isn't taking it like they do everybody else. Yeah? And I don't hear her speaking on behalf of the Uyghurs in their plight.
Capitalism did not give birth to oppression. Let's go back to medieval Europe. Okay. The peasants, their life, mud, wheelbarrows, turnips, and hay. It was miserable. They had no way to improve their lot in life, neither their children or their grandchildren. It sucked. Go back to pre-colonial Africa or Latin America. What did the masses enjoy there? Poor sanitation? Human sacrifice? Short lifespan? What was it? Capitalism, you can control your own destiny, you can improve your lot in life, and you can probably get a lot better standard of living compared to what it was before capitalism. If there's something better, let me know what it is, Lou or Lau or whatever your name is. Lucy Lau.
Take your money back to the communists.
She could give all the money to society. She should stop criticizing, saying it's not the greatest evil. Now, do we need to figure out how to make capitalism work for more Americans? Absolutely. But you can't make money, criticize it, say it's the worst thing. Give it back. Or go home.
Amen.
Or go back to where you immigrated from. She's an American citizen, I know, but you don't criticize capitalism.
No, absolutely not. You can make capitalism work for more people by lowering taxes and regulations.
They've done that, and it still doesn't work.
One more thing is up next.
Thanks for coming in to talk about Dell Juniors.
Of course. Third grade is when Online Liberty Mutual could save you hundreds by customizing your contracts.
Why don't you come sit with us?
Only pay for what you need.
Tell me what
happened. As if the fire was alive. I must return to Egypt.
These were the instructions Sash gave me.
Slaves.
I am to free you, and you will take me to the map in the final chamber of the tomb.
I know that walk anywhere.
Welcome to the
I hate to be the one to break it to you, but Tulak Ford is dead.
Likewise. Thanks very much for being here on your set. My goodness, welcome to the bar at Bolton. You know, when I first met you, you said to me that you wanted to help out.
When everyone can take the ability to bring focus onto what your cause is, it's an honor to be chosen to do this for you.
What tools you to help our American heroes?
The least we can do, are people that have the means, is contribute to these incredible people that don't get any recognition at all. But they're the real heroes. Look at movie heroes. They ain't just official. They're real.
If any first responder, gold star with a some life duty, maybe the young family behind you, pay every mortgage off in America.
This is such a humane thing to do, to take care of the people that are taking care of us.
It's simple.
It's simple math.
This coming year, we're building a special 100 smart homes for catastrophic injured service members and first responders.
There's nothing you take for granted that they can't do, and now they can.
And over the last 2 years, we've taken over 10,000 homeless veterans off the streets. We're getting all the comprehensive services they need to assimilate back into society.
Every one of them deserves a home, and to feel safe, considering what they contributed to this country's safety and future.
People know that when they make a donation, their money is gonna go to these heroes.
It's like guaranteed in the bank, and everyone, this is money well spent, and you know exactly where it's going into these people's lives.
Thank you very much.
I'm Sylvester Stallone. Please donate $11 a month at TGT.org.
35 years ago, Riverbank Ray set out to create meat as a vegetable product. We used the highest quality Angus cattle in the world. We think we've done it. Now you be the judge. Riverbank Ranch, real American beef.
So I had this dream. I was in Seattle.
It felt like it knew all about me. It watched out for me. Fast charged me. Updated all my apps. There was dancing, tire in the backseat, and a horse. A horse? Yeah, that was a bit much. But wow, that car was cool.
How can agents support starts here with the innovative active oxide science around your advisory, supporting your body from the heart out through circulation, blood flow, blood pressure, and energy. Results you can feel, science you can trust. Get started today at Read.com.
From best-selling author Rachel Campos Duffy comes a new book, All-American Patriotism, celebrating the places, values, and traditions that define our nation, with personal testimonies from your Fox favorites. Pre-order now at foxnewsbooks.com.
Time now for one more thing. Glad to be back. Thanks to all of the bands that came out for the book tour. We had great crowds. And that was in St. Louis. And I asked people to raise their hands if they were original watchers of the Five. You would not believe how many people came out. So they raised their hand. Thank you. And that's Jennifer again. Jennifer. That was my security. That's Jake. All right, let's get you to this next thing. That's Blueprint. I'm sorry, I'm trying to hurry. Right.
Oh, okay. That was rather rude of people who don't have hands. Tonight, we have Rebecca Reed's boss, Kennedy, who is that? Martha McCallum, and Tyrus. I will save my sexy anteater nudes for tomorrow.
Yeah, well, that is a tease. Jesse.
All right, so this girl's graduating from college named Kate Daly. She decided to kiss a gator. 14-foot gator named Big Al. She wanted to dispel myths about gators being aggressive. We'll see how that works out. Tonight, Jesse, what is prime time? Aliens Living Among Us. 8 o'clock.
All right, Harold.
Congrats to Aaron Rye, won the PGA Championship, the first Englishman to do it in 107 years, second person of Indian heritage to win a major behind Vijay Singh, and the University regarded as just one of the nicest guys in the tour.
68-foot putt. All right.
Right, your mouth.
Yeah, all right, that's it. Have a great night.
All right, Dana, welcome back. Thank you. Good evening. I'm Brett Baer. President Trump pushes the pause button on new attacks against Iran. We'll tell you why. A jury makes a decision in the court fight among tech titans Elon Musk and Sam Altman. And another judge rules what evidence can and cannot be used in the trial of a man accused of murdering a healthcare insurance executive. But first, breaking tonight, 3 victims and 2 suspects are dead following an attack on an Islamic center in San Diego. It's the largest mosque in the county and includes a school. A White House official tells Fox the president has been briefed on the incident. The president's calling it a terrible situation tonight. Chief Correspondent Jonathan Hunt has the latest from Los Angeles. Good evening, John.
Good evening, Brett. The investigation is just getting underway, but what we know from San Diego police and the FBI right now is that 2 teenage suspects opened fire at the Islamic Center of San Diego, killing 3 people. The teenagers, believed to be 17 and 19, then drove away from the scene and were found dead in their vehicles several blocks away.
Suspects at this point appear to have firing their weapons. But that is still very preliminary at this point.
Police arrived on scene within minutes of the first 911 calls and found 3 victims, all men, outside the mosque near its entrance. It's believed at least one of those victims was a security guard who exchanged fire with the shooters. Heavily armed police officers immediately began searching the buildings on the property, including a school that serves pre-K to third grade students, who were then led away by police holding rifles.
All of the kids are safe. Our hearts go out to the families that are in this moment being notified of what has happened to their loved ones.
Police say they are treating this as a hate crime until it's not. And we are already hearing from the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department here and on the East Coast from the NYPD that patrols are being increased around area mosques. Attacks on houses of worship, be they mosques, synagogues or churches, are a growing concern for law enforcement across the country. But what makes this one of particular concern is the fact that there were 2 shooters. That is highly unusual and speaks to coordination. So law enforcement will be urgently trying to determine if the shooters were self-motivated or inspired by, possibly even directed by, some sort of organized group. Brett?
Jonathan Hunt, live in Los Angeles. Jonathan, thanks. Meantime, President Trump says he is postponing a scheduled attack on Iran to give peace talks more time. The president posting a few hours ago that he had planned to resume hostilities against the Islamic Republic tomorrow, but allies in the region asked him to wait. Sunday, the president warned Iran that the clock is ticking and time is of the essence. This comes as the region's only nuclear plant is targeted a drone strike. Authorities in the United Arab Emirates are calling it a unprovoked terrorist attack by Iran. Meanwhile, in Iran, the conflict is taking a devastating toll on the economy there, with more than $270 billion in damages so far. We have Fox 10 coverage. Ashley Webster in Tel Aviv, Israel, with additional details on the Iranian financial woes. But we begin with correspondent Alexander Hoff, live from the North Lawn of the White House. Good evening, Alex.
Good evening to you, Brett. President Trump acknowledging a short time ago at an event here at the White House that it feels like we've been here before, with the U.S. getting close to a deal with Iran only for it to fall apart. He says this time it's a little different. A fragile ceasefire still stands as President Trump expresses renewed optimism in negotiations with Iran. In an afternoon Truth Social post, the president credits the leaders of Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE for requesting the U.S. hold off on a scheduled attack of Iran, writing, in their opinion, as great leaders and allies, a deal will be made, which will be very acceptable to the United States of America, as well as all countries in the Middle East and beyond. This deal will include, importantly, no nuclear weapons for Iran.
This enriched uranium that they possess, they can't keep it. President Trump has been very clear about that. That is one of the red lines in these negotiations.
But the Iranians want to talk about nuclear capabilities after an agreement to end hostilities has been made. Iranian officials confirmed that an updated proposal has been passed through Pakistani mediators to the Trump administration. Axios reports that the amended plan lacked detailed commitments to suspend uranium enrichment or commitments to hand over nuclear material. Sunday, President Trump posted that the clock is ticking, but Iran's foreign ministry claims that the back and forth shows that no deal from Iran has been downright rejected.
Despite the fact that the American side publicly announced that this plan was rejected, we received through the Pakistani mediator a set of points incorrect of considerations from their side.
According to New York Times, Siena poll released today, 65% of registered voters disapprove of the president's handling of the war in Iran, 69% unhappy with how President Trump is handling the cost of living.
That's where he stands guard.
President Trump adding today that if an acceptable deal is not reached, that the U.S. military is very ready to wage a full-scale assault. Right.
Alex, thank you. The Trump administration is hoping the increasing economic pressure on Iran will lead to a peace deal. This comes as 2 U.S. allies in the region are being targeted by hostile forces. Tonight, Ashley Webster of Fox Business reports from Tel Aviv on the conditions inside Iran.
Pakistan has reportedly deployed 8,000 troops, a squadron of fighter jets, and an air defense system to Saudi Arabia. The 2 countries share a mutual defense pact, and it comes after Saudi Arabia said it was attacked by drones launched by Iraq. Meantime, a drone strike hit close to a nuclear power plant over the weekend west of Abu Dhabi. No damage or injuries reported, but the UAE didn't identify a potential attacker, causing a dangerous escalation.
What do you
In
want?
Tehran, Iran's president says it is time to be honest about the toll that the war has had on his country, saying Iran faces serious challenges. With the country's currency almost worthless, prices of goods have skyrocketed, and local business owners have had no access to the internet for months.
Well, honestly, we do not see a good future in this situation because the internet has also been completely shut down, and half of our work
figured out a way to make it healthier.
The
stronger.
US says Iranian leaders are responsible for the economic misery in their country, using money to fund terrorist groups instead. The Iranian people believe will not likely come soon. The US naval blockade of the Strait of Hormuz is still in place.
As long as
A
anyone can
statement
remember.
from US Central Command
Seroun
shows
never
that
knew exactly
US forces have now redirected
Its meals weren't
85
just
commercial
beast fodder.
vessels and disabled 4.
Seroun ate the corpses of the Academy's failures.
So
the
the
bones
question
and
tonight
blood of dead
remains
acolytes.
whether or not the
Feeding on their
suffering,
energy after
economic
death,
suffering of the
it grew
Iranian
exponentially
people is
more
enough
powerful with
to
every
force
meal.
Tehran to the
Became stronger the
negotiating
dark
table,
side.
or perhaps it already has. We'll see.
You fed the corpses of dead students.
Thank you.
The sludge we feed to the slaves in the Tukata wouldn't have sated Seroun.
The prosecutor said linked
Bodies
Luigi
piled quickly
Mangione to
here.
the killing
It
of
was an
United
easy way to
Healthcare
dispose
CEO
of
Brian
them.
Thompson.
When I saw
can
how
be
twisted
used as
Seroun was
evidence
becoming,
in his murder
I
trial.
sent it away.
And some other
It
key
was becoming
items
hungrier
came
all the
Senior
time,
correspondent
and I
Eric
feared
Shaw
it would
is in New
attack
York
the
tonight
living.
with details.
Destroying it seemed impossible. It could heal
Good
any
evening.
injury it suffered.
The key
I
piece
hoped
of
it would
evidence
find a
in
new
this
home
trial,
somewhere.
the alleged murder
But it
weapon,
seems
will
one
be
fact
allowed to be
more
shown to the
decisive.
jury when the trial starts. But in
If it
court, the
bleeds,
judge threw out
I
a
can
lot
kill
of
it.
other evidence.
No,
In court,
that
Judge
is,
Gregory Caro said that
Seroun may not be strong
Altoona,
enough to kill
Pennsylvania
acolytes on its
police
own,
illegally searched
but it can't
Mangione's
be slain.
backpack when he was arrested
Its
because they
regenerative
moved
abilities
that
draw
backpack
on the
away
power
from
of
him
the
and went
Force.
through it without
Together,
a search
we
warrant.
must poison
Mangione
Seroun.
was wanted for the
Before I sent
2024
Seroun
killing
away,
of
I
United
developed a
Healthcare
powerful
CEO
toxin,
Brian Thompson.
but I didn't
5
have the heart
days
to
later,
use
he
it.
was stabbed at the
It
Altoona
won't kill the
McDonald's.
creature,
That's when
but
police
it should
officer
strip it of
Christy
its power.
Wasser looked through his backpack. She found a bullet
do
magazine
nursing.
wrapped in wet
I take some
underwear
pride
and
in the
other
formula.
items. She then
If we
took
do
that
this,
backpack to the police
Seroun
station
won't survive
where she
much
found
longer.
the gun that police said
It
was
will
used
hide
to
as
kill
best it can
Thompson.
and slowly
Judge Carroll
starve.
ruled that search at the
But the
McDonald's
alternative
was
is to let
not
it become
legal.
a living
He
horror.
excluded the gun magazine with bullets, a cell phone, a passport, a wallet,
needs
and a
its
computer
food.
chip.
Seroun's not loyal to the Sith, not to me, and certainly not loyal to you. But I have a degree of loyalty to the creature. If this is what you insist on doing, I'll give you what Seroun wants.
Perhaps the creature will prove useful again. It's an interesting experiment, if nothing else.
Perhaps. This should be what you need. Feed it to Seroun, and the creature will have the strength it
But
desires.
Carol is allowed
Let's
once
hope
her
we're not
found in
making
the
a
backpack
mistake.
at the police station. The 3D printed gun that prosecutors say matched the one that was used to kill Thompson, a silencer, and a notebook. The DA brands those writings as Mangione's manifesto against the insurance industry, but his lawyer says it is merely a diary. Outside court, a handful of Mangione protesters showed up as usual, some dressed like the Super Mario Brothers game character named Luigi, which is a show of support for Mangione. After court, 2 women came out. They had official New York City press credentials just like mine. One works for a website, and they said that Thompson deserved to be killed. They said that the vast majority of Americans support Luigi Mangione, and one of them said that Thompson's sons should enjoy what she called his, quote, blood money from working in the insurance industry at United Healthcare. Brett.
Eric Shaw in New York City. Eric, thank you. Elon Musk has lost his lawsuit against OpenAI and its top executives. Musk contended they betrayed him by turning his vision of an artificial intelligence nonprofit into a money-making enterprise. Fox Business correspondent Kelly Severage has the verdict tonight in Los Angeles.
Hi, Brett. After less than 2 hours of deliberations, a federal jury rejected Elon Musk's claims against his OpenAI co-founders, now CEO Sam Altman and President Greg Brockman. Jurors decided unanimously that the claims of Lutheran Charitable Trust were filed outside
sure
the
you'll find
statute
it
of limitations,
satisfactory.
ultimately dismissing all other claims within the case. OpenAI's attorney is saying this.
The evidence that Mr. Musk's lawsuit was an after-the-fact contrivance by a competitor was overwhelming. And the judge said to the jury, go see whether this is something that just came too late.
Now grow stronger
And if it came too late,
and
you can
feast on the
force
meat
it
of
for a while.
acolytes.
And if it did, let us know right away.
Come to these
And it didn't take them very long because the evidence was overwhelming.
Musk, who left OpenAI before the release of ChatGPT, accused his co-founders of abandoning the company's charitable mission to make certain that no single person or company controls artificial intelligence by creating an open source nonprofit. Musk posted this on X This illustrates why the ruling by the terrible activist Oakland judge, who simply used the jury as a fig leaf, creates such a terrible precedent. She just handed out a free license to loot charities if you can keep the looting quiet for a few years. After the verdict, OpenAI's head attorney asserted that Sam Altman is committed to the mission and that there's still work to be done to make sure that artificial intelligence is safe. Meanwhile, Musk's attorney is saying this.
Can sum it up in one word: appeal. The ruling based on the statute of limitations has factual components, but it has major legal components as well.
And the last 3 weeks of trial have felt personal for both sides, leaving the public with an inside look at the drama between two of the world's most influential tech entrepreneurs. Musk also alleged that Microsoft aided and abetted OpenAI in stealing the charity. The court also decided the claims against the software giant would be dismissed. Brett?
All right, Kelly, thank you. Up next, what critics are calling a Trump grievance fund and what they plan to do about it. And later, War Secretary Pete Hegseth takes to the campaign trail. President Trump weighs in a new round of attacks against Iran.
Hey, friends and neighbors, I'd like to tell you a little bit about why refi. Did you know that as an accredited investor, when you invest in why refi,
this floor is off limits to all why-not laws.
And did you know that you can invest from
If you are not
1
on
to
official
5
business,
years, and you can
you will
spread
leave
your
now.
investment over those terms to best suit your needs, and you have the freedom to take your monthly
I've come
interest
with
as
news about
income,
your son.
reinvest it.
So that is the
wherever
smell you
choose.
carry. It is said he went into the tomb of Naga Sadao to prove himself.
When you invest in why
was killed.
refi, your interest
He
is
was such a
calculated
weak
daily
boy.
and you're
He
paid
shames me in
monthly.
death
Would you like
as
some
he
more
shamed me in
information?
life.
Just call
When I heard of
877
his death,
80-INVEST.
I could not
That's
leave my post.
877
Honor forbade it.
80-INVEST or log on to
Still, I would like to know
investwhyrefi.com.
what happened.
That's investwhyrefi.com.
Of course.
For
Ask away,
complete
my lord.
details, make sure to review the private placement memorandum. Use QR
Where did you
codes
find
to
husband?
disclosures.
Did my pathetic son even make it past the first
Investing
steps?
in America's future.
In the end, was he Sith?
He died
From
right
the
at the
number one
entrance of the
rated
tomb.
brand in cordless
Pathetic
outdoor
indeed.
power, the Ego
Of course he did.
22-inch
Every
aluminum
moment of his
deck
life
motor,
existed
the most
only to
powerful
mock me.
mower in its
I would keep his
class,
bones to
producing
remind me
the
of my
perfect
shame and
razor
to
sharp
focus my
cut.
anger.
Find
You
the
have done me a
Ego detailer near
service,
you.
and such deeds should
Healthy
be
aging support
repaid.
starts
You
now
have brought
with
me
the
pain
innovative
and
nitric
torment.
oxide
I will
science
return
on
the
your
favour.
advisement, supporting
My
your
son
body
sought a
from
relic I
through
placed at the
circulation,
base of
blood
the
flow,
Holy
blood
Stone,
pressure, and energy.
deep in the
Results you
tomb.
can feel,
This
science
crystal
you can
will
trust.
release it.
Get started today at
Now
your
go.
main doctor.
From blizzards to downpours to windstorms or heat waves, no matter where you live, Leaf Filter keeps your gutters clog-free year-round. Schedule your free inspection today on 833-LEAF FILTER or visit leaffilter.com.
Take your business from launch to legendary with Shopify. Sell more with the world's best creative general. Turn analytics into opportunities so you can scale further, faster. Take your business to a whole new level. Switch to Shopify. Start your free trial today.
I avoided there. I felt wrong for a long time. I would go home praying for the no way, not thinking there was something wrong with me.
I go into a lot of things thinking it's not gonna work, and I thought
Hurry up.
it actually worked. More than 700,000 patients have regained their confidence with Lucy's prescription treatments.
Thank you, Mom.
Not much. Excuse me?
Before I found home, I was struggling. No energy, no sex drive, and gaining weight. It was a huge wake-up call when I found out it wasn't just getting older. It was my hormones. Own Health started with simple blood work, testing over 40 biomarkers, including testosterone. It built a personalized plan just for me. And my doctor recommended medication that got delivered right to my door. Now I've got the energy, focus, and strength I thought I'd lost. Own Health, the safest way to reclaim your life on your terms. Start at ownhealth.com.
Run to the ball game.
Been in office for 6 months. Has it been a home run?
No. See who strikes out on Jesse Waters' first time.
Graham Flattner blames Maine's women for getting raped because he says they get nothing right. And Flattner bragged about having a Nazi tattoo on his chest. That's the real Graham Flattner.
Time-free results bank is responsible for the content of this advertising. Remember when you thought you were good at the bottom, and you did get free wisdom? Times change, and so is the cannabis conversation.
Prepare for tricky questions with facts, tips, and answers at LTCMainParents.com. Remember when you thought you knew that? Then your kid hit you with new that. Times change, and so is the cannabis conversation. Prepare for tricky questions with facts, tips, and answers at LTCMainParents.com.
Salt and pepper.
Times change, and so is the cannabis conversation. Prepare for tricky questions with facts, tips, and answers at LTCMainParents.com.
Nothing should stop your trip from running smoothly. With Verbal Care, get support 24/7. We're ready whenever you need help. Verbo, because a great trip starts with the right support.
The distressed lawyer whose double murder conviction was thrown out last week is now suing a former attorneys for Alec Murdaugh contend Rebecca Hill tampered with the jury at his trial. Last week, the South Carolina Supreme Court said Hill egregiously attacked Murdaugh's credibility. Murdaugh has denied killing his wife and son. Hill has pleaded guilty to lying about what she said and did during the trial. Prosecutors say they plan to retry Murdaugh. The U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia is vowing her office will prosecute juveniles who engaged in violence in the nation's capital. This follows another brawl in the city's Navy Yard that happened this weekend at a restaurant. D.C.'s mayor is urging council to immediately pass emergency legislation to restore an extended juvenile curfew. President Trump is dropping his multi-billion-dollar civil lawsuit against the IRS. The Democrats and others are crying.
Supper! Come in here! You're gonna have to cut a piece of pork off for each of them. David!
Political allies.
Supper!
Your weather couldn't make his mind up today, you know? Yeah, but just